Previously on the American Le Mans Series.
The checkered flag flies. Alan McNish gets the win. He won here with Dindo Capello. Audi has dominated action this season with 6 straight class victories. Dindo Capello and Alan McNish have won 5 of those 6. Dyson Racing teammates James Weaver and Butch Leitzinger have shown great speed in qualifying with 2 poles, but have yet to convert that pace into race day victories.
Well, the Dyson task will certainly not get any easier here today at Road America. This racetrack closely resembles the circuit at Le Mans, and that's exactly what this Audi R10 was designed for. Scotsman Alan McNish, on his first visit to the racetrack, scorched through a new track record and pole position, almost 3 seconds underneath the old mark. And it'll be an all-Audi front row here today. James Weaver for Dyson qualified 3rd in class, just narrowly pipping his ex-teammate and buddy, Andy Wallace. Andy now runs for the Highcroft Racing team, ironically driving an ex-Dyson car that sat on the pole here last season.
In Prototype 2, Intersport Racing's Little Lola That Could continues to keep the might of the Porsche factory at bay with 3 wins as Clint Field and Liz Halliday hold on to a slim lead in the series' closest title fight.
In the Prototype 2 class, how worried is Porsche about making sure that one of their drivers stays in this championship hunt? Well, they're worried enough that they have split second-place drivers Sasha Maassen and Lucas Luhr, placed them in separate cars for the remainder of the season to ensure that if one of those cars has a mechanical problem, at least one of those drivers stays in the championship hunt.
In GT1, Corvette's Ollie's, Aces Beretta and Gavin control the title battle with 4 wins amid controversial rules changes that have seen a rejuvenated Aston Martin squad claim victory in 2 of the last 3 races.
Well, Aston Martin continue to show speed. Stefan Sarazan qualified on the pole in the 009 machine, but it was close. Both Aston Martins and both Corvettes covered by a mere 0.4 of a second. Now, the coolest race day temperature that we've seen in a while should certainly suit the Pirellis on the Aston Martins. But don't count out the Michelin-shod Corvettes, who placed 1-2 here last year in a finish that almost saw both cars trading paint as they went across the finish line.
GT2 has provided the year's most wide-open racing. Johannes van Overbeek has used 1 win and consistent podium finishes to control the point standings. But behind him, 4 others have shared the 5 remaining race victories.
In the GT2 class, nobody's complaining about rules and performance balancing. They're just racing and racing hard. Patrick Long and Jörg Bergmeister start from the pole for the 3rd time this season. And don't forget, last year, right here at Road America, is where they started their championship run.
After enduring near inferno-like heat during the championship swing to the west recently, the American Le Mans Series returns to the Midwest in virtually perfect weather and at a track many would consider North America's perfect road course, Road America. Welcome to the 7th round of the American Le Mans Series, the Generac 500 at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Dorsey Schrader. You've already met our 2 pit reporters, Calvin Fish and Brian Till. And Dorsey, this track, drivers love it. It's a great challenge, but at 4 miles, sometimes has the strategists scratching their heads a little bit. Certain scenarios have to fall into place to see success here, and we're calling them the BMW keys to winning.
Well, I think in the P1 category, it's about mind your fuel. It's been documented that the turbo diesel in the Audi gets great fuel mileage. They've made some adjustments to the capacity of the competitors. Now, everybody will try to run that fuel almost all the way out before they pit. But on a 4-mile racetrack, you dare not run out of gas. And if you're in the GT1 ground pounders, well, maybe mind your tires, because turn 1, the carousel and the kink here are all right-handers. High-load corners where you really grind the left-side tires off. If you have a flat on a 4-mile circuit, that's not good either. And if you're in the very competitive GT2 door bangers, well, how about mind your manners, because all the corners around here over 100 miles per hour, you don't want to be shoved off the grass at that speed.
And 14 great corners here, and amazingly, Alan McNish of Audi, never been here before. So for our Pirelli course description, we asked Alan if he would give us some impressions of this phenomenal circuit on his first visit.
It's a very natural circuit. It follows the contours of the land. The corners are deceptively difficult because you can go quite quickly here straight away. But to actually be the fastest is extremely difficult because it pulls you into going too fast into some of them, and then you lose so much lap time coming out and vice versa. So it's a real delicate balance.
And a balance he found to perfection. Let's tell you about it in our Shell starting grid. As always, we'll give you the entire starting lineup across the top of the screen. But once again, we've asked our full class pole sitters to go ahead and introduce themselves to you.
Hi, I'm Dino Capello from Italy.
Hi, I'm Alan McNish from Dumfries, Scotland.
I'm Lucas Luhr from Germany.
I'm Romain Dumas from France.
Hello, I'm Stéphane Sarrazin, I come from France.
I'm Pedro Lamy from Portugal.
Hi, I'm Patrick Long from Agora Hills, California, currently residing in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hi, I'm Jörg Bergmeister from Langenfeld, Germany.
McNish's lap was stunning, but it's, I think, important to point out that in all four classes, the pole qualifier broke the existing class record. Jörg Bergmeister breaking his own record from 2 years ago in GT2.
And we had the perfect weather throughout this weekend to achieve those types of speeds. It's been very, very cold out, and with that, the turbocharged motors make a lot of horsepower. The tires, with the grip that they have, they went with the soft compound, and everybody went blindingly quick.
And here we go. McNish on the inside comes up looking for the green flag for round 7.
Green.
We are underway, and boy, the two Porsches, both of them lagging back just a little bit. And look at the hunt. Weaver already trying to figure out what to do. He wants to do something early. He locks up. I think he maybe even nudged the car in front and certainly got into the side of the number 1 car, Vila.
Vila now has to stay on the throttle, try to get through that gravel trap, and even if he does that, he's going to have loaded the entire chassis of that car, that Audi, full of rocks. It's not good for any of the moving components.
That puts Lucas Luhr in the DHL Global Mail, the yellow Porsche, up into 3rd right off the bat. And now Vila was able to skate through. One lost a lot of time, but there it is, the junk.
Yeah, look at the junk on the track now. And that was, take a look. This is Weaver being just overly aggressive at the start. He's trying to find a way to the inside. That block, you're going back and forth, back and forth. He's going to lock the brakes up right about here. You see the smoke there. He's out of control. Hits there. Vila gets hit, pushed off into the gravel. Did a good job to stay on the throttle and get through it, though. I'll say that.
I think his efforts to try and make the move, Dorsey, to not get into the back of McNish, I don't think he did, but he certainly got into Vila.
Well, he got caught off in this brake zone. I don't understand exactly why, because...
oh, he did tap.
Oh, yeah, he hit
too.
him, definitely. Absolutely.
Got them both.
Well.
So, we... right off the bat, things getting interesting here at Road America. Meanwhile, McNish now leads through the awesome cage, one of the greatest corners on the planet, with Weaver a close second. Then there's Lucas Luhr leading in the P2 category right now, and Luhr liking the opportunity that's been gifted him.
Well, there are concerns right now on that number 1 Audi machine driven by Frank Vila. He did certainly take a hit from James Weaver there down in turn 1, so there's concerns there. And in the morning warm-up, they had to have 2 problems fixed, both in the gearbox. The gearbox oil seal went awry, it was leaking. They brought the car in. They had a hardship lap after the warm-up session. It was still leaking. So right now, fingers crossed that that problem has been fixed as the Audi of McNish leads the way.
And you see McNish over by the pit wall. The reason for that is he's asked his crew, take a look at the back of my car. Weaver has hit me. See if I have any damage. So he moved all the way over to the wall so that one of the crew guys can come out and have a good look at the back of the car.
Oh, the number 20 of Chris Dyson, the other Tedford Norcol, Dyson Lola.
It's okay, Chris. We won't lose a lap on this, so you just have to keep going and hope for yellow.
Into the pits way early. Don't know what the problem is at this stage yet. You heard the crew saying we won't lose a lap. Going to the back of the car, Dorsey.
Yeah, changing right rear.
We believe it's a cut tire. Chris Dyson reporting to the crew, something wrong on the right rear. They've changed it, and he's back underway. Stalls it momentarily.
Boy, really struggling to keep that alive. Now, there it goes.
Now, one thing I should say about James Weaver's incident down into turn 1, one thing I found out was that they're having trouble, as they have for so long, with the gearbox in that car. So James is not on the paddle shifter. He's having to shift manually. He might have just simply missed his downshift and locked the brake up as a result.
Now, you can see, I mean, he's struggling mightily not to get into McNish. And even though he tinked him a little bit, but that skated him right over into Vila. But he continues on right there. Good look at James Weaver, one of the true great all-time sports car drivers.
And by having to manually shift this car instead of using the paddle shifter, he has to lift off the throttle to get it into the next gear. Where the non-interrupt side, if you had the paddle shifter working, it's two things it does. It gives you a lot more speed, so he's losing speed to that. But now he's having to work twice as hard. He's having to now take his hands off the steering wheel to get over to the shift lever to move it back and forth to make the gear change. So that gives him more physical stress.
Lucas Luhr sits right there in the P2 category, leading that one. Having a very solid run with his new teammate. Now let's go back and take a look at what's unfolding in GT1. And there is your pole sitter, the 007 and the 009, the two Aston Martins of Stefan Sarrazin, getting his first pole, 5th for the Aston Martin squad this year, leading teammate Darren Turner in the 007. You can tell the difference. There's the 009 with the sort of lime green trim, and then the 007 with the orange trim, and then the two Corvettes right there. And as Calvin said in the open, all four of them covered by less than half a second in qualifying. Incredibly close as we ride on board with Darren Turner heading down toward turn 3.
Yeah, Ron Fellows right behind this car. Hats off to old Ronnie, boy. He put the Corvette ahead of his teammate Ali, and that's hard to do. One of the Ferraris.
They have been struggling here all weekend, Dorsey. Now, a couple of the drivers have never been here either, but the cars just don't look like they're working that well here.
That is down on the exit of Canada Corner, headed up under the bridge there.
That's the number 62 entry. Go back, see if we can catch any idea as to what may have unfolded there. That was already done.
happened. I can tell you what happened, though. He got up on the left side on the rumple strips and got on the throttle and swung across it. I've been there before.
One of the drivers in that car, Mario Dominguez, certainly experienced here in champ cars, but Stefano Ortelli, who won Le Mans overall in '98, one of the drivers in that car, never been here before either. As we watch the vets heading under the snap-on bridge, now we hop on board. The number 23 Alex Joe Racing entry in the hands of Mike Rockenfeller. Just up front, you see Patrick Long, as they are already 2.5 laps into this one, getting lapped by the P1 cars. Gives you the idea of the pace of those cars. There is Long up front, leading in class.
That's unbelievable. 4-mile track, and it only took them 2 laps or a lap and a half. That's actually that Audi that got pushed off. That's
which would make a lot more sense.
Catching up from being run off into the gravel trap by Mr.
Weaver. The guy that got into him. Yeah, and it took Frankie a while to get the junk cleared out of that car and then to get it cleared off the tires, I would imagine.
Well, I talked about the moving parts of that car, too. You got to think about the throttle linkage that's up inside there and all that little grit and stuff that can get into that throttle linkage, hang it open. There's a lot of different things that can mess up.
Well, one of the biggest concerns for Alan McNish, even though he scorched for a new track record in qualifying, were the early laps. He said it's just taken us a long time to get any tire temperature into this car. Now, certainly the track temperature today is a lot higher than yesterday, so that's certainly aided his cause, but he felt that the lightweight Porsches may have a slight advantage at the start, but right now McNish out front and looking good.
Well, and I think he's being aided a little bit by James Weaver, who, as you saw, just turned the race's fastest lap in the early going, a 1:55 flat. Here are your 4 class leaders. McNish leading overall. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series, Generac 500 from Road America, is presented by Generac Power Systems, the leader in standby power systems for residential, commercial, and industrial applications. And brought to you in part by Audi, initiating a new dawn of power. By Shell, made to move. And by Michelin, a better way forward. How about this onboard look right here, folks? The 007 of Darren Turner closing up under braking, heading into turn 8. Nice to have you back with us, the Generac 500 at Road America. And this is the battle, essentially, for the class lead in GT1 right now. I don't know that it's too fast and furious at this point between the two teammates.
And right there, the carousel, what I talked about at the beginning of the show, how long you're in that corner, grinding away on the left-hand side tires. It really does damage.
Here's a look at Frank Biela and the number 1 Audi, and while we were in break, Calvin Fish, apparently they ducked into the pits.
They did. They were concerned. They had a lot of rocks inside the radiator grills, particularly inside the brakes. They run a new system on those Audi brakes. It's almost like 2 shields on either side of the rotor, and the rocks were caught up in there. It's almost like carrying around 2 pounds of rocks on each wheel. So they brought him in, changed tires, topped him up with diesel fuel, got him back underway, and stayed on the lead lap.
That's not good, even if they're very small rocks.
No, and they get it, like I say, all those things that are moving around in there, those rocks don't belong here.
And there's a look at the 62 Porsche we saw had a bit of an off. Looks like a little damage at the front end of the car. Brian, any news on that machine?
Greg, actually damage on the left front and the left rear. They say he spun on his own down in Canada Corner, obviously made contact with the tire wall. The car seems to be okay. They thought they might have to bring him back in. Brought him in, changed tires, and fuel, but they have struggled all weekend long. They've been fast, but they've spun a lot. They had actually qualified third in class, but because they spun on the second lap after qualifying, they flat spotted the tires. They had to change tires and start at the back of the GT2 field. So problems continue for these guys. And don't forget, that's the car that has won the last 2 rounds of the GT2 class, with behind the wheel Mika Salo and Jamie Mello in those 2 races.
Well, the good news is it looks like the bodywork portion of that Ferrari is pretty superficial, as long as it hasn't damaged any of the toe end on the suspension, because it hit both the left front and the left rear.
Both of those cars just have not, both of those Ferraris have just had not great luck trying to stay on the track. Let's take a look at points in P1 after 6 of 10 races. You can see Capello and McNish with that great streak they put together. Pretty healthy lead over Weaver and Leitzinger in the Dyson car, and then Andy Wallace sits even further back, essentially in 3rd place, driving for the Heikoff Racing car of Duncan Dayton. But let's take a look now at our P2 points leader that is running on the track. And it's an interesting story unfolding in P2, which is just great. There's Clint Field, and of course, co-points leader with Liz Halliday. And I think one of the amazing developments, if you look at the points, is the fact you see the 2 Porsches and the drivers of those cars, 2nd and 3rd. The mighty Porsche factory has changed their strategy in terms of drivers because of the performance of one of the true independents.
Well, this team has done a really good job this year so far, and the Porsches, of course, have had some mechanical issues, something that you don't see often, but it's worried them enough that they split their drivers up, and this car is on a rail. It's running really good. The team's doing a good job.
Yep, admittedly, self-admittedly from the team, they don't have quite the pace, obviously, of those Porsches, but they just keep lapping and lapping and lapping, and they don't have major mechanical issues, and it has propelled them, in terms of the drivers, into the points lead. Porsche still does lead the team and manufacturers championship in the P2 division, but this has been, I think, one of the great stories of the season is the performance of this team.
They're doing exactly what I tell new drivers and new teams to do. Drive your own race. Drive your own race car to whatever that limit might be. If it's not as fast as the Porsches and you try to go that fast, well, then you're going to break the car. You haven't done that.
And here is essentially the overall battle for the 4th spot. Duncan Dayton, driving his Hycroft Racing entry, sits in that 4th spot right now, which is 3rd in the P1 category. Right behind him, Sasha Massa, the number 6 DHL, Global Male Porsche. And these 2 are having a great run. And remember, it was Duncan Dayton in one of these Porsches at the most recent round at Portland that had a great battle until it all went wrong in the infamous festival curves. They're at it again. Down into Canada corner, and apparently now things go from bad to worse for the 62 Ferrari. A 1-minute stop and hold for apparently too many people over the wall during their pit stop.
That is a kind of penalty that you just can't afford to get. A 1-minute penalty at the speed of this racetrack is good job not snapping back across. That could have got both cars pretty quick there. Turn 14, notorious slippery once you get beyond that rumple strip.
Yes, both grass and dirt, right?
Yeah, pretty much so.
That, as Calvin said, is the car. Look at Duncan coming right back after him, even with junked up tires and everything. A great move. And if you're not familiar with the name Duncan Dayton, get used to it for 2 reasons. One, in vintage high-performance Formula equipment, including Formula One cars like Mario Andretti's championship winning 1978 Lotus 79, he is absolutely unbelievable. And as we announced at Portland, he is going to be one of the 3 Acura factory-back programs next year in the P2 category. And Duncan Dayton, folks, you may not know his name. You're gonna. He is good.
But they're not supposed to have push to pass. And it sure looked like he had some straightaway speed.
Just unbelievable, amazing. Now let's go find what's happening in GT1. There it is. That's it. The entire class, and it couldn't be any closer. That's not even 0.4 of a second is how close this battle is right now.
No, that was kind of strange. You see the 2 Astons up there trying to fight with each other, or at least get position for that braking, and that pulls Ron Fellows all the closer. When you get these big sedans side by side and you move out of line, it opens up a wall of air like you can't believe.
Now, we're going to get a comparison. The V12 of the Aston Martin, the big V8 of the Corvettes, down the long moraine sweep from turn 3 all the way to turn 5 into that difficult and challenging right here. Falls down the hill braking zone.
Seems like Mr. Turner wants by awfully bad. Probably because Ron Fellows wants by him awfully bad.
But at a certain point, if you've got the speed in terms of being a little quicker than your teammate, even though you're behind him, ultimately I would think you wave he has to get way through and say, let me see if I can do something here.
He lost a little time there, and you're right. If they're working together, sometimes you will realize as the second car that I think I can do better leading.
There is that long, never-ending carousel corner, the big right-hander leading into the King. Oh! Dropped the tire there, did Turner, and that's going to cost him a little bit of mojo heading down into the King. So the battle continues. That is GT1. There is the Corvette squad watching. Here are your 4 class leaders. Again, Alan McNish continuing to lead overall. One of the great treats here as the Pirelli flyover, and it was spectacular. The A10 Thunderbolt. This is a close air support of ground troops design craft with night vision imaging for darkness. And here is an F-17A Nighthawk stealth fighter. This thing was amazing. What a show. And we'll be back. Alan McNish working the legendary carousel at Road America. Welcome back to the Generac 500, everybody. 7th round of the American Le Mans Series, and the Audi R10 TDI diesel is doing what it does best, and that is stretch its legs on a long, fast track. And McNish stunning in qualifying and opening up some great times already in the race.
Well, suffice it to say that the tires are up to temperature. You don't see Mr. Weaver anywhere around anymore. And this racetrack is hard to get the tire temperatures up on because of the long straightaways. You go through these corners and you got a long straightaway behind it, and it cools down. Watch this close call that Mr. McNish had with Rockefeller here.
Yeah, Biela coming up and diving underneath the car, and then a counter move by Patrick Long. As you see, Biela just ran a little wide once again. Now he's going to try and drive by him, but there is McNish now, and watch this moment as he comes up on the back of the 23 Alex Job Racing Bell Micro Hirewise car. And I don't know that he saw him, able to sneak through there. So, boy, McNish working through the pack. But you get, as you said earlier, you call them the door bangers. This GT2 category is so furious, and when the overall leaders start working through, it can get a little dicey.
And it brings up an interesting point. These prototype cars are designed with downforce. The faster they go, the better they are. That being said, those slow corners, they're at their very worst. You saw right there Patrick Long able to pass a P1 car with a GT2 car. Of course, the P1 made a little bit of a mistake, but still in all, when you get to a low-speed corner at the middle of the corner, a GT2 car is just as fast as a P1 car at that point.
And up front of McNish, and the number 45 points leader is in this car in the category. That is Van Overbeck along with his co-driver Hensler, and they are in the pits way too early.
I don't see any damage on the car either.
Obviously the crew chatting over the radios trying to determine what to do, what the issue is. Cal?
Well, as Wolf Hensler came down the front straightaway on the last lap, he slowed dramatically and then picked up the speed again. He suddenly picked up some kind of vibration. They're hoping that it's a tire, maybe lost a wheel weight. They're going to do a precautionary pit stop here. Right now, they're just checking out, see if there's any wheel bearing issues. So they shake the wheel before they take the wheel off. They're going to replace these. They put the fuel in, of course, first. They're not doing any servicing on the car whilst the fuel is going in. So that costs you a few seconds. They're going to try and get Wolf Hensler out. Remember, Van Overbeck leads the championship. This should be a day of celebration for Johannes. His wife Sarah had their first baby last night, a boy Brody. I didn't think the husband would be there, but racing is very important and he leads the championship.
The crew doing the best job. Still, it's a little bit of confusion there, but now they get Wolf out, but that's going to put him well back, and their day just got a lot longer, a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it did. You know, we saw all that marbles and stuff come on the racetrack where they cut down tires.
Well, and there's the point scenario. Van Overbeck, the other driver in that Flying Lizard Portal player car, leads it over his teammate Hensler, and then Mello, that's Jamie Mello, who usually drives the number 62 Ferrari, but had a conflict this weekend. He is not here, and so that obviously is going to cause them to fall off the order just a little bit.
While the Michelin tire technician checking over the left rear tire, a major part of the tread is missing on this. Looks like it's got air right now, but some sort of issue with the tire. So that was the vibration that Wolf immediately felt. And the high speeds here on those front straightaway, you can imagine that was quite a shock to the driver. He immediately lifted off, nursed the car back, using the experience. They're going to have to try and recover from this and try and get back towards the front of the pack for points today.
All right, Wolf certainly has experience in those 911s and a nice job to be able to detect that and bring it in. In GT1, this furious battle continues. No change in position, but they close up, they drop off just a little bit. Just an absolutely fabulous battle right now. And Stefan Serres and the pole sitter hanging on up front.
But they're calling Stefan on the radio and telling him to let Darren Turner by, that he wants to be by. We talked about it first. They told him they think they could run better if you let him by, so they're demanding some open hitters.
And then Serres' response is to open it up just a little bit by a couple more car lengths. Take a look at the points in GT1 currently. And another good battle unfolding here at this stage. And there you can see them as they come across at the line. There are the margins. Gavin and Beretta, 106 points, 12 back. Engen Turner in the 007 Hackett, Pirelli, Aston Martin. And then Fellows and O'Connell in the Team CompuWare Corvette sit third, but only 4 points back. So this battle, I mean, the top three covered by essentially 16 points in this championship. And we've got this race plus 3 more to go. And keep in mind the totals in terms of points, considering that both Petit and the race at Laguna are longer races, so there's some bonus points. 89 points are available yet, including this race here. So even though some of these points battles may look a little big, one mistake and that big margin can evaporate and hurt.
And after 12 laps, all 4 of these cars under one blanket.
Still some amazing racing, and it was this close last year, so perhaps no surprise whatsoever. Up front, Alan McNish continues to lead overall. Tonight on Speed, it's the all-new Speed Report. Go beyond the highlights and beyond the stats. Get the why with the Speed Report. Tonight, 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Speed. Back with our live coverage here on Speed of the Generac 500 at Road America. Some great onboard shots are giving you all day long. The BMW right here, one of the GT2 categories. And right now, there is Alan McNish continuing to lead. And just a big development. Oh, and we've got one of the Aston Martins. That is the 009 of Saracen, who was leading in class.
Okay, we can see you.
He is stuck. They'll have to get a record to get him out of there.
That's the corner they call Canada Corner, turn 12.
Remember, he was thinking he had a tire deflating or something. They were telling him to move over and let his teammate down.
Prior to that unfolding,
I'll probably tell you, Albert.
Prior to that unfolding, the number 3 Corvette of Ron Fellows. Meanwhile, here comes Weaver, and you'll notice that was the number 1. That was the number 1 Audi, which has now gone down a lap to the top 2 cars of McNish and Weaver. So for Frankie Villa, problems and not good ones at that, to go down a lap now, and then a yellow is going to come out, so he's going to lose even more track position at this stage. And that is why the 009 is in, and that has put the Corvette of Ron Fellows in the lead, because while we were in break, Fellows was able to sneak by the 007 Hackett entry of Darren Turner, and here's how it happened, Doris.
Good setup as he, that's coming out of the kink where we saw a huge wreck earlier in the race today. You don't want to do that there. Watch this on onboard. Talk about scary moment. That's at about 125 mile per hour when you're going up there right there.
And Fellows wasted no time, just jumped down underneath, which obviously Ron saw something developing because he didn't get caught up in that. He was able to adjust his line, able to get through underneath. And talk about fortuitous, because then, of course, the 009 ends up in the gravel. And that promoted Ron into the lead. Here's what happened here, the tail end of it. A lot of traffic there, Dorsey.
Yeah, then the 2 car looks really slow right there. You see the Audi going up the hills awful slow. I think you got a little help in this one.
And so we are now under our first full course caution of the day. and that's going to pack everything up while we get this car removed.
If the car starts and drives, then bring it back to the box and only enter if the pit lane is open. Okay, where I am, I cannot hear you very well. It's not very clear. What I do, box, or I continue? If the pit lane is open, then box.
Guys, earlier we thought they were having a problem with the 009 in the right rear tire, but that was not the problem that created the situation in Canada Corner right now. The team reporting they got a little help from one of the Audis as he came by, got touched, just sent him a little bit wide. And Dorsey, as you know, as the marbles collect on the outside of the line there in Canada Corner, you get a little offline, you get a little nudge, you're going for a ride to the gravel.
Yeah, Brian, it looked like we saw the two going slow, so that was the culprit right there.
There's the gale for us. Randy Herman and Doc DeYoung getting that car out of the gravel. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Road America, as we are just a little over a half hour into this 2 hour and 45 minutes, 7th round of the American Le Mans Series. And we are under a full course caution due to the incident of the 009, which it has been confirmed, by the way, did have a little help getting off into that gravel trap. Now, while we're under caution, we want to talk about something that's been kind of interesting. This year, there's been a lot of controversy about rules adjustments that have taken place during the season. Performance balancing, as it's called in the American Le Mans Series, is common in many racing series. And in December, in anticipation of some coming new technologies, rules were announced that specifically address the series' ability to take measures to balance the performance of teams throughout the course of the season. Now, many teams have either complained or cheered this process, depending upon which side of the rules adjustments they fell. So we thought we'd ask ALMS President Scott Atherton about the philosophy behind this rules-making strategy.
It's, I would say it's the most challenging aspect for any sanctioning body is to manage rules that involve manufacturer involvement. It's one of the cornerstones of the American Le Mans Series is to have a high level of manufacturer involvement on and off the racetrack. But if that's one cornerstone, then on the opposite side of the foundation is another cornerstone that is there for our independent teams. And that's the balancing point that has to be reached. There has to be the stability and the incentive and the relevance, return on investment for manufacturers to want to be involved in a racing series. That goes without saying. And I believe the number of manufacturers we have actively involved in the American Le Mans Series is the best answer I can give you in terms of how are we doing. I think we've created a very attractive platform that has the highest level of relevance for a manufacturer to be involved and see a direct connection from the racetrack back to the showroom and why does a manufacturer go racing. The American Le Mans Series represents a perfect fit. At the same time, we can't afford, nor would we ever want to create an environment that also isn't a welcome environment for an independent team. Both the Porsche and the Audi are literally unchanged from their original configuration. So the rule stability absolutely applies in regard to those examples. We have elected to provide an enhancement to the gasoline-powered LMP1 entries in an effort to bridge what our data indicates is a gap in the performance capabilities of those two classes, or the two cars rather in the same class. The level of sophistication of IMSA's ability to extract data from these cars has gone up exponentially. And we've attempted as a sanctioning body to keep pace with what we know is the rapid advancement of technology on behalf of the teams by utilizing both our own very experienced personnel as well as going out and utilizing some experts on a consultancy basis, along with extensive data acquisition, both from telemetry and track-related equipment that's been installed that provides proprietary information to IMSA. I think the IMSA technicians have a wide range of data to assess the true performance capabilities of each individual car. So, to suggest that any of the IMSA decisions being made are not without careful consideration and, voluminous amounts of data that is being analyzed by true professionals and true experts in their field. And it's only after that process that decisions are being made. Sometimes it happens sooner than, or in a more compressed time frame than we would like because of the way the schedule is configured. But at no point are these decisions being made haphazardly or without firm factual backup to go with it.
And in our conversation, Scott wanted to also stress that these performance balancing procedures do not in any way change the series' commitment to the ACO, the organizing body for the 24 Hours of Le Mans, or its rules. In fact, this performance balancing is an idea shared with the ACO and is designed to help make rules that are written for a single event, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, work over the span of a 10-race series that competes on a variety of circuits.
Greg, this is nothing new. Every sanctioning body does the same thing. It's always been that way. They don't always go public with it, however.
And here are your 4 leaders. We're under caution. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, as we continue under caution here at Road America. This gives you an idea of just how gorgeous the setting for this track is, winding through the Kettle Moraine Forest and these glorious sweeps. That's turn 5, climbing up and down the moraines left by the glacial area. Now, while we were away, there was, of course, a slew of pit stops, as you might expect. Let's check in and see what happened. Calvin Fish.
Well, Alan McNish, the leader, was in with that diesel-powered car. They believe they may have just snuck into the window where they can now go the rest of the distance, even under green, with just one more stop. James Weaver was running second. He pitted for sure. He will need help with a yellow, otherwise he'll need another complete stop for fuel, and then probably a splash of fuel to see the checkered flag here this afternoon. A little bit more strategy in P2 down at this end of pit lane. Sasha Masson was in the number 6, yet the number 7 car, they've held Lucas Luhr out on the racetrack, just trying to sneak a few more laps without coming in, and that may get them ever closer to that pit window that they're looking for. Corvette squad in GT1, they're all set up right now. They're trying to look at the opposition, the 007, see what they're going to do. They're pretty marginal, and if they stop now, if they will need 1 or 2 stops to get to the finish today.
In GT2, the GT2 leader was in. Patrick Long brought his Porsche in, tires and fuel. Interestingly enough, Alex Job, who owns the 23 car with Mike Rockenfeller behind the wheel, elected not to bring him in. So you talk about strategy. They're rolling the dice that will have some more yellows. They'll have an opportunity. They said, look, guys, it's a 2-stop race anyway. We may find that. As I look at pit road right now, GT1 literally comes rolling down pit road. Both Corvettes and the 007 Aston Martin are on pit road. The strategy unfolding in GT1 right now.
This will be a race in the pits to see who can get their stop done first and get out. There is a specific speed limit down in the pits you can't exceed. Cal?
Well, the Corvettes are in. It looks like both drivers are going to stay behind the wheel. Ronnie Fellows led the pack as he came down into pit road. But right ahead of him is Oliver Gavin, his teammate. They're going to stay in, top him up with fuel. There will be fresh Michelins going on the Corvettes, Brian.
Same thing down here. Calvin, no driver change, but they will take 4 new Pirelli tires. The fuel is in, the tires are on.
Well, the Corvettes are still here, and the Aston Martin beats them both out of the pit. So, a little bit of strategy playing here. Corvettes, the 4 car is up and running first. Not a good stop by the 3 car.
Boy, real problems there for the 3 car. Went from the lead in the class down to 3rd in the category, and it looked like they may have been struggling a little bit on the back of that car. I don't know if it was just a wheel nut that hung up or whatever, but it looked like they were fighting it.
Well, you don't see it often from the Corvette boys. They're
don't.
very polished on these pit stops. They practice. It's certainly a miscue at the rear of that number 3 car, and it cost them 2 positions.
And another development that happened, James Weaver is fast today, and maybe he's just a little too fast, because coming up into the pits, watch what unfolded just a little bit ago as he was following one of the Audis in, the race leader, Alan McNish. Look at this, Dorsey.
Yeah, this is kind of hard to believe. McNish slows up for the blend line, and watch Weaver as he comes up, punts the car, so he's made contact, and it's damaged his little air front spoiler right there. It's got a hole in it now, so they're going to have to address that issue.
Yeah, just a weird, I mean, he's been running very fast on track, certainly, but just had his moments here that are a little bit uncharacteristic, and you wonder what's going on there. As now they've completed their stop. There's Weaver. Take a look at that front end.
They haven't fixed it. You can still see there's a little divot in the right front corner. And the splitter's got a gap in it, which is not going to be good at high speed.
And here comes Frank Biela, who is bringing the number 1 Audi that has had just a horrific start to this race, ushered off the track by James going into the first turn, and was apparently the car that may, and we certainly hear it as a possibility, may have helped the 009 Aston Martin into the gravel at turn 12, so a tough deal. They obviously stayed out to try and get that lap back, and now they're hoping to get the stop done and get back out.
Hard to get a lap down on the full-out board, but they somehow succeeded, but they had to come in after they get pushed off in the gravel to get some new tires put on, get rid of the rocks that were caught in the caliper and so forth, so that's what essentially put them a lap down.
Aston Martins are having a great weekend, spectacularly quick on the racetrack, and that was an awesome pit stop just now. I asked the engineer on the 007, did you guys short fill to get out ahead? And he said, well, we got enough fuel in it. And I went, well, now wait a minute. Do you have enough fuel to do just one more stops, or will you need 2? George Howard Chappell, the team principal, looked over and went, no, don't tell him that. This is a live broadcast. They could be listening down at Corvette.
I think they're smart enough at Corvette to have figured it out by now already, to be honest about it.
Yeah, they're looking at their watches and they're going, nah, that couldn't have been a full tank.
No, I mean, they're pretty smart boys down there. They know what's going on.
I've seen the gang, we obviously paid real close attention to what's unfolding there. So now, obviously, everybody that has completed their stops in just catch-up mode to get caught up to the back of the pack before we go back to green. We're now coming up on 45 minutes done. Couple of hours left in this one, and with this early stop and being at least borderline in terms of the pit windows, it's important. At the top of the show, you were talking about fuel and consumption. Like at Miller, the other long track in Utah at 4.5 miles, the rumor was that the Audi in one of those sequences got almost 4 laps more than the Dyson Lolas out there. That's huge.
That is huge. I don't think it'd be as much here because the percentage of full throttle here is greater. You're on full throttle a lot. Miller's got a lot more corners per its 4 miles than some 24 corners at Miller to the 14 here.
Some good looks. Here's the onboard for the PTG BMW team. Again, they're circulating under caution, trying to get everybody gathered up and get back to racing. Here's Lucas Luhr, who currently is the overall race leader because they have not yet made a stop, and the Lotus up in front lights are out on the pace car, so that means we ought to be getting back the green flag next time this field climbs the hill here and comes across the start-finish line of Road America. They have just exited turn 14, and the pace car is in back in. Luhr is on the throttle, and we are back to racing at Road America. Great shot, watch him appear over the crown of that hill, and that is steep.
This is just one of the greatest racetracks. I love this thing, watching those cars pop up over the hill at that speed that they're going.
Now, Chris Dyson, that car that looked to the inside, is actually second overall right now as we hop on board the Alex Job Racing number 23 in the hands of Mike Rockefeller. And you saw that Jean Richard P1 Lola from the Autocon team that I believe that's Chris McMurray behind the wheel, trying to avoid getting put down a lap by the number 20 car of Dyson. Look at this run. There's the 45 of Wolf Hensler, and that was the car that had the problems early, and they still not able to hold off the Alex Job car of Rockefeller. So that car looks like it's continuing to struggle.
Well, I think what happened was he got pushed out to the outside, and with all those cars going by on the inside, he had nowhere to turn in for turn 3 there, and just took all his speed away from him.
And the car right in front that we're looking at is the back of one of those Panos Esperanti GT-LMs. The number 51 in the hands of Tom Milner is leading in the GT2 category right now. Always great to see that. It was this team, of course, it was the 50 car that won at Sebring. And they are running the Pirelli tires, and they are leading in that category right now with Rockefeller behind, Long, Oberlin, and Philander. They're pretty well packed up in this GT2 battle. And then, of course, right in the middle of it all, you can see that the 009 trying to make a run back to the pack.
It's a good day right now for the 51 car, Greg. They elected not to pit under that full course caution. They chose track position. That's why Tom Milner in the lead. The problems for the 50 car, at first they thought it was gearbox, but now they think it's a throttle sensor. A lot of electronics and engine control units, computer control units on that big V8 underneath the hood of that Panos Esperanti right now. The electronics aren't working. 6 to 8 cylinders, it's running on back and forth, and that's no way to turn a fast lap time around this racetrack.
All right, well, you know, that explains something because during a break we had an onboard shot. We were listening to that car going down the front straight, and it sounded horrible, then great, then bad, then great. So there's the issue, and there is Gunnar Jeanette, who is enjoying watching his teammate, young Mr. Milner, leading in GT2. Here are your other class leaders as well. you missed the race or if you just would like to know a bit more, well, no one gets you closer to the action with more news, analysis, and results than SpeedTV.com. High-octane racing, high-octane news and information only at SpeedTV.com, your one-stop shop for everything speed. And there is Lucas Luhr, who is now out front overall, let alone in the P2 category in the DHL Global Mail Penske Porsche Spyder. And you can see not a lot of traffic behind him, and that is because it took Alan McNish a little bit to finally get by Chris Dyson. And now we'll see what Alan can do about maybe marching back to the front of the overall order at this category. But that's enjoyed right now by Lucas Luhr. And while we were in break, we had a change in the GT2 category as Mike Rockefeller, who had been hounding and hounding and hounding young Mr. Milner, was finally able to find a way by.
Well, we'll take a look at how he does that. Coming up the big straightaway here on the front side of the racetrack, utilizes the draft off one car, moves over to get some help.
And Patrick Long tried to follow through, but Milner not letting that happen quite that easily, so that's how he slotted back, and here's what it looked like from Rocky's perspective.
I like this perspective. Gaining, I'm coming, I'm going to the inside. Perfect draft, no question. He used it. He used the wider panos to help him get up the hill, if you will, get the wind off the front of his car.
So he's able to open it up just a little bit. Meanwhile, here's how you saw McNish get around Chris Dyson. Dyson gave him the feint.
It was the top speed of the Audi, no question, as he made up a lot of ground from where he came onto that straightaway. Somebody's off down here at Canada Corner.
Yeah, a lot of dust down there once again. Let that try and settle and find out who and where specifically.
Where have you gone, you culprit?
Okay, just maybe a big drop of the tires of the 45 again. Wolf Hensler. Boy, you can see the back end skating all over on that.
Now, Wolf Hensler had that left rear problem that we saw in pit lane. We talked about the carousel here and how it really grinds that left rear corner. Now, I'm not sure, but for Wolf Hensler, it's not characteristic of a guy that flies off the road. We'll take a look at what happened to Wolf. He was by himself, so certainly this could be, well, he's just tracked out too wide and got into that dirty stuff. You're talking about how nasty it gets here as the race progresses on the outside of that racetrack at Canada Corner.
It gets worse every time somebody does that, hauls it up, and you can see right on the edge of the track once again, pushing very hard, obviously.
And it brings out all these stones that cause the punctures that you see and the flaps that after somebody does that, it almost always happens.
There's Wolf right now doing everything he can to try and haul that car back up into some decent points for teammate, partial team owner, Johannes von Overbeck. And now you see the 51 in GT2, the Panos, is not now in the frame in terms of the top two, as Patrick Long has been able to get around in the Peterson White Lightning entry and has moved up. And also going through, as you can see, the BMW behind there of Bill Oberlin, the Yokohama BMW, having a very strong run here in the early going. That's now for third, and that puts the 51 Panos and Milner back into fourth. There's a lot of speculation as to just how good the BMWs would be here because of that huge frontal area and these long straights. Oberlin's given a pretty good ride so far.
Well, there's no speculation about how good Bill Oberlin is when he's behind the wheel of a BMW. He is magic, no doubt, and he's given this car a great run today.
It's one of the things that when I was talking to him, he said the car is handling so incredibly well. It's just that with the only, with the 6-cylinder engine in this thing, it just has a problem on long straights, pushing that front end around. But they've got the handling dialed so well, it's making up for it a little bit. Then the 51, but you see behind that black number 61 Ferrari in the hands of Tony DeLauder, who was the early qualifying star in the class at Lime Rock, is starting to close up on Milner right now. Milner's coming after him.
Milner's falling off pace. The 51, whatever gremlins it has, is getting worse as it goes on.
Guys, I just checked in with the Panos team, and the deal is tires. They elected to stay out. And the other thing is, all the other leaders came in and went with fresh rubber, so they've got a little better tire on their car, and the 51 suffering a bit. The other problem is there are two compounds that they brought here this weekend. The compound that they really like, they only have one more set of them. So they've got to conserve what they've got on the car, and conserving means they're going to be going slow. Calvin.
Well, the championship leader, the number 45 Flying Lizard team, are not having a smooth day. Johannes van Overbeck. Wolf initially had some kind of tire problem, then we saw him slide off the road again. Any problems with the car right now?
Hard to tell. Wolf's digging like crazy as usual to get us back. We had a vibration earlier, and we think it was, we don't know what it was, but we changed tires. It seems to have fixed it. But the Portal player, Shortell, E-Silicon, iPass, flying listed Porsche is doing great and running well. And hi at home to Sarah and my new boy.
How tough has it been for you this weekend, knowing that your wife has gone into labor early and you're out at a racetrack trying to defend your championship lead?
It's tough, but the way I look at it, it's really great news, so can't help but be happy.
All right, congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
Well, Calvin, if he doesn't know what the vibration was, I saw that tire. I know what it was for sure.
He's being politically correct there.
I can tell him what it was, all right.
No, we just saw Villander while you were talking there try the move on the Panos and Milner.
Oh, that was late, and he didn't know he was there.
No, well, he had blocked him going out of the carousel and into the approach to the kink, and clearly didn't see him or didn't care.
One or the other, I don't know. I mean, he was all the way. The Ferrari was completely alongside. It'd be hard not to know that it was there, but Milner just slammed him, and it didn't hurt the Ferrari nearly as bad as it has Mr. Milner. Now just, and look at the now that corner is just trashed. Looks like the right front's down, too.
Man, and yeah, it's now the junk he gathered up is still even coming out. Here it is.
Ferrari cleanly up the inside. I mean, there's no way you could really not see that. No, he saw it. There's no way he could have not known that was there.
No, that Ferrari's nose was 2 feet in front of his.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not right.
At least it is. Certainly a mistake. Let's put it that way.
There's the flat right front.
Boy.
Oh, this is a mess.
That, I think, is coming up in the pit lane, so it's trying to get that junk out of the grill and everything before he gets into his pit stall at this stage. So, well, the strategy of trying to conserve a little bit and save some tires has gone awry and forced a pit stop anyway and under green. Not a good thing here at Road America. We'll be right back. Coverage of the American Le Mans Series Generac 500 from Road America is presented by Generac Power Systems, the leader in standby power systems for residential, commercial, and industrial applications, and brought to you in part by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, and by Klein Tools, tools worth asking for. Through the kink at Road America goes Lucas Luhr in the DHL Global Mail Porsche, and he continues, perhaps somewhat surprisingly, Dorsey, to maintain a 2.5-second margin over Alan McNish, who a while ago cleared Chris Dyson and was able to draw away. And you thought, well, you see if he can run down the leader, Lucas Luhr. He has not yet been able to do so, and look at the speed that Luhr just rocketed underneath. This is, of course, the battle of GT2 that he just went by the GT2 leader, Mike Rockenfeller. It's amazing the speed of these prototypes.
Remember at the start of the race, McNish saying that it took him quite a while to get those temperatures and the tires working on that car. There went Mr. McNish. And as those tires warm up, that car becomes quicker and quicker.
Well, and we just saw it. The last time by it was a 2.5-second margin. Now it's 1.6. So I think a little bit of that was obviously Luhr coming through the traffic, but McNish now starting to give it a bit of welly maybe and coming after him.
That track record breaking run that he had in qualifying clearly dictates that he can outrun anything here and will.
We had about 5 laps, every one of them well underneath the track record, and every next one a good half second generally underneath the one he just turned. It was unbelievable.
Quite spectacular. It's fun to watch, that's for sure.
Let's get down to Brian Till.
Tom Milner from the lead in GT2 to sitting in pit lane. I know you guys wanted to conserve tires. This is not necessarily the way to do it. What happened out there on the racetrack with the Ferrari?
Well, I mean, we were on old tires at the time there, and he had just pitted and got new tires, so he was obviously faster than I was. He had just caught me. And braking for Canada corner, I checked my mirrors just because he just caught me and I figured he's faster than I am. Checked my mirrors, hadn't even made a move yet, and I turned in and he was right there, just a bonsai move, stupid move on his part. And it's unfortunate. I mean, the car was really good. led the race just through pit stop strategy, but still the car was really good, running fourth for a little while there. So, it sucks. It has to happen this way. I mean, we had bad luck all year long. So,
you heard him say we've had bad luck all year long, and well, they've got it again this weekend, Greg.
Yeah, it was a very unfortunate incident, obviously, but I tell you, I just find it difficult to think that that was a bad move by Villander because he executed it beautifully.
Well, that is exactly correct. I mean, basically, Villander saw that he could get inside there. He got inside there. He had the pass made pretty much cleanly. His car was under control. He would have made that corner at the speed that he was going. So Mr. Milner just didn't know that he was there, turned in, and the contact was made.
Obviously, he checked his mirrors. He hadn't made the move, so it surprised him. I don't think there's any doubt of that. Meanwhile, here we go now on a clear track with nobody having to deal with anything. McNish now has, in fact, up the ante and is closing in rapidly on the back of Lucas Luhr. Down into turn 3, they start this long, long run now through the Marine sweep all the way up to turn 5, and it's on these straights with this Audi sings.
Yeah, this should be it right here, no question about it. Anytime you get to the long straightaway, the Audi's going to have the top end. And here it comes. There'll be no contest about this.
Yeah,
checkout time.
Look at that. Oh, Luhr trying to make the counter move. See what happens. The lighter P2 car decides no.
Well, the number 7 Penske Porsche team are setting up here. Once they lost the lead, they're getting very close to Lucas Luhr having no fuel left in that car. Remember, he's one of the few cars that didn't pit under caution. But Alan McNish learning this track. Brad Kettler is in charge of the championship. Was just amazed by how quickly he got to speed. He said within 5 laps, he was underneath the track record.
Do one more lap, one more lap.
One more lap to one of the crews calling their drivers there, but he did talk to fellow Scott Dario Franchitti and Brit Nigel Mansell about how to learn this racetrack quickly. And Greg, I believe that you saw Alan out on the racetrack during one of the practice days trying to learn the lines.
That's true. He came out to turn 12 when I was out there on Thursday during the test day. They were out, he and Stefano Telli, and who had never been here either, and taking a look at it. By the way, that radio transmission you heard, Calvin, was for Lucas Luhr, so they are anticipating him maybe doing this one more lap and then coming in. So be expecting that one certainly to unfold at this stage. Take a look at what's unfolding in GT2, and what it is Patrick Long has latched onto the back of Mike Rockenfeller and is absolutely making him miserable right now, looking in, looking out, trying to come by, and he's got to be a little careful because there is one of the prototypes. I think that is Beelan, the number 1, coming up adrift. But look at Long just hound him.
He's going to try to go with him. No. That's in 13. There's a concrete wall on both sides there. Not a good place to make an error.
Yeah, what did you say earlier in the
I
something about manners?
And door banging, and it's about both to happen. Yeah, mind your manners, boys, because that's a concrete wall on the outside of where he was trying to make that pass.
Now, if he's this close at this stage, gets a bit of a toe, could get interesting.
They're going to run out of gas in about 5 or 6 more laps.
The front straight. Watch for it here. Rockenfeller out front, Long in second. That was the number 31 radio, and Long going way to the inside, almost into the grass.
Well, he pinched him to make it hard, but it was inevitable. I could see that one coming, so good. I mean, it's Rockenfeller doesn't have the speed.
Nice job.
Guys, what the 23 is really looking for, certainly what they were looking for when they were in the lead, is a full course caution. They're saying they're going to need fuel within about 5, maybe 6 laps at the most. I was just down here at the Alex Job team, and they said, could you whip us up a full course caution, please? That would be really helpful right now. I don't think they're going to get it. Patrick Long is now going to set sail. He's got newer tires.
Well, manage your fuel. I mean, we talked about that earlier, and that doesn't just apply to the P1 category. When you're stretching margins here on a 4-mile track, it's real sketchy.
It's real sketchy, and you don't want to get caught out. You know, if you run out of fuel on this end right here, it's that long hill up to the pit straightaway, up to where you get fuel. And if you're out of fuel anywhere in this area, you're not going to make it back.
And to paraphrase the old saying, I had to push my car uphill both ways. I mean, that's what you're dealing with here on this track. And you can see Long making some hay right now. And heading out and opening it up just a little bit of a margin at this stage. And Rockenfeller tucked in behind, working through the carousel and sweeping through. And right now, here are your 4 class leaders. And once again, McNish in the P1 category car is in fact leading overall once again here at Road America. We We are back at Road America for the 7th round of the American Le Mans Series, the Generac 500. We are under caution once again as well. Another car off in Canada corner in turn 12, the number 22 Yokohama Advan BMW from Prototype Technology Group, Justin Marks. Having a problem down there. We do not have a replay on it at this stage, so not exactly sure what happened, whether he got help or came off on himself. Now, we've got a little bit of a problem because the pits are closed until the pace car can come out, but the 20 is in nonetheless, which indicates they absolutely had to stop. Perhaps running out of fuel, and that is exactly what we were talking about, if that is indeed the case. Cal?
Well, we talked about it early in the show, the 4-mile racetrack. You can't afford to run out, particularly with the uphill that you have to coast down getting into pit lane. So Chris Dyson just threw his gloves over the wall. He is furious here that that call has been made, but when you're out of fuel, you're out of fuel. It was a really bad break. But I tell you who it was a good break for, the number 7 machine. Lucas Luhr just pitted, turned it over to Romain Dumas, and I was questioning, you hate to question Penske Motorsport, but I was questioning why they didn't pit under that early yellow, but right now they need a pit stop under green, and now that track position they lost is going to be gained, and the racetrack is under full course yellow, so that may work their way now.
How does Alex Job do it when he was just talking on the radio about needing a caution? How come he got, the 23? Chris Dyson, take a look at him. This is not his fault. He's just very frustrated. They needed a pit. He was running out of fuel, and then out comes the caution. Pits are closed. They're going to have a penalty over this.
You bet. I mean, that's just the way it is. They'll be released, and then they will be inevitably called in for some sort of probably a stop-and-wait penalty for entering the pits when the pits are closed. Guy Smith climbs behind the wheel. And was he spectacular at Portland for those first 53 laps?
Amen. It was very good this weekend here, too, as a matter of fact.
That was the, he said afterwards, he said, that felt so good. It was the first sports car race I've led since 2003 at Le Mans when he won. And he said, man, was that fun.
Some of us at the beginning of the race, we were talking about lucky breaks and bad breaks. This is a horrible break.
Yeah, horrible break. A little bit of a ding in the front end of the car. Doesn't look like it would be too bad. Smith out. Catch the back of the pack, and we can expect to see him in again in just a moment as well.
Welcome back to Road America. The leader, Alan McNish, hits the number 2 Audi as Dindo Capello behind the wheel now. They're going to try and beat the Porsche out of pit lane. Good pit stop by the Audi boys. Excellent stuff right behind them. Emanuele Pirro has taken over the role of driving the number 1 machine, and the Penske Porsche pit is not a good one, so the 2 Audis stay in front, narrowly beating us neck and neck with Butch Leitzinger in the 16 as they exit pit lane.
Tell me they're not competitive.
Racing out of the pits. And you can see the stop continuing for the Penske Porsche Spiders at this stage. A lot of cars streaming by.
An idea with the onboard there with the Audi, how quiet it really was down there, Calvin.
Well, I can understand why the 6 pit was a little bit slow. As I got down to the 6 machine, they were actually using regular floor jacks to get the car up in the air, so they must have had some kind of air jack failure, and that is why they're a little bit slower, because we expected with the fuel flow, with everyone pitting together, that the regular gasoline should have got into that Penske Porsche a little bit quicker than the diesel. Remember, they have a fuel regulator now, so it adds about 4 seconds to a full fuel load there. So that was the problem with the Penske boys.
All right, Cal, thanks very much. Let's take a look at our Michelin field summary while we're under caution here, and it's just a rundown of how many cars in the field are running Michelin tires, as well as the other tires as well. Michelin has 14, Pirelli 4, Yokohama Dunlop 2, and Goodyear 1 on the Intersport Lola, who are having a pretty darn good season on those Goodyears as well. So there's your Michelin tire summary. Let's get down to Brian Till for a little more information, our Michelin tire tip.
Well, Greg, everyone likes coming to Road America. The fans, the teams, the drivers, even Michelin likes coming to Road America. And the reason is it's a great racetrack, but it's a unique blend of equal right and left-hand corners. What that means on a properly set up car is this tire leans back and forth as it goes through those right and left-hand corners, and it makes for even wear across the tire. Now, this racetrack also known for its very long straightaways. That allows these Michelin tires to cool on those long straightaways between corners. In that respect, it's a lot like the track where they run the 24-hour of Le Mans. And why shouldn't Michelin like that racetrack? They've done very well there. Because of that cooling on the tires here and the equal wear, look for the Prototype 1 and Prototype 2 cars that are running Michelin tires to be able to double stint these Michelins here. And like I said, why wouldn't Michelin like a track that's like Le Mans this year. The top 13 finishers were all on Michelin tires, and in fact, Michelin has won that 24-hour classic the last 9 years in a row.
That's just a staggering statistic. That's absolutely phenomenal. And you see, obviously, when there's a pit stop, it's the crews that go to work and change those tires, and they are the ones that can make a huge advance during the course of a race when the cars are in pit lane. And because of that very reason, there's a very special competition that unfolds each and every weekend, and there's a special one that unfolded yesterday right here at Road America. The semifinal round of the second annual Klein Tools Pit Crew Challenge unfolded here yesterday. Ollie Gavin ready to go in the number 4 Corvette, and Joey Hand in the 21 PTG BMW having some fun. But when it came down to the final and decisive run, it was the Aston Martin, the 009, and the number 31 Peterson White Lightning entry. This is the chance for the crews to show what they can do. The mock refueling was done, the tire change, going after it. Watch the work here, very, very fast indeed. The Aston Martin looked good, but watch this move here. Hands up, car down, and the number 31 Peterson White Lightning entry was able to win the semifinal round. They get $10,000 for their effort here, and along with these other cars, all 4 of these move on to the finals. Coming up at the final round in Laguna Seca, $100,000 from the folks at Klein Tools going to the winning crew at that final round. So a great job done here. We will be back with some more great racing action from the American Le Mans Series right here at Road America. Tonight on Speed, step into the wind tunnel with Dave Despain. Get fired up, then fill Dave's voicemail at 1-866-W-TUNNEL all weekend long. The more animated, the more you'll be heard. Don't miss Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain tonight, 9 Eastern on Speed. We are back, everybody, continuing here under a full course caution, and there have been pit stops, and Calvin Fish is with a guy who's been pretty spectacular already this weekend.
He has. He started the race on the pole. Alan McNish, great run there in the opening 2 stints that you did. But talk about the contact in turn 1. I understand some more contact coming in the pits at a certain stage.
Yeah, no, going up into 1, Weaver got a very, very good start, and he was right up my back. And when I braked into 1, he tapped the back of me, which I think's damaged the rear slightly, but also I think then he went into the side of Frankie and also kissed me coming into the pit lane in the first yellow. So he's on the attack, shall we say.
Your first visit here to Road America, I know you love the racetrack, but your old buddy Dario Franchitti gave you some tips. Now, if you win today, does he get a percentage of the prize money being a Scotsman?
Sorry? I didn't. Percentage of the what? Are you mad? No. Dario gives me money. That's the way it should be.
The strategy from here on out? I mean, it seems like there's a long way to go on this racetrack that really uses a lot of fuel, even diesel powered. Are we assuming that you can't make it without a splash at the end here?
No, with 1 hour 15 it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be possible unless there's another yellow. Dindo's in now. I think the biggest thing is that people are going off and bringing sand onto the circuit, and that affects the tyres quite a lot. I had a couple of big moments in the carousel where I thought I was going to be doing a bit of grass tracking, but thankfully brought it back. So I think the order of the day is just bring it home.
All right, mate, best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
He has been something special to watch here this weekend, and what a great run in the early going as well, as we continue to run under caution right now. And great to have him making his debut run here at this track. And speaking of tracks, something a little bit unique happened with Alan McNish shortly after Le Mans this year. He got asked to participate in a very unique race, and he of course said absolutely, and he brought along his best friend, his Audi R10 TDI diesel, and he went up against pretty amazing program at the West Wittering, UK Royal Air Force Base. He went up against a Harrier in the hands of RAF Flight Lieutenant Pete Keenley's side. Here's a good look at Pete, one of the best, and there's McNish. They're on the line, and that Harrier right across from him. And on the launch, this was pretty fun to watch.
You got to know that pilot is going to get a big ribbon from all his buddies getting beat by a diesel.
You know it. You saw McNish look off to the side, wondering what was the story. They came to the line. It looked like pretty much a photo finish.
The race itself was a fantastic experience, unique to be honest, because not every day you get to race a Harrier jet. But in terms of how it went, very well. We got off the line. I was able to use the torque of the diesel, and we accelerated away from the jet quite quickly. But towards the end, he was catching up, and just at the final point, he pipped me as he took off and came across the line a nose ahead.
You know, when you're a world class, one of the best race car drivers in the world, you get to have some very unique fun, don't you?
Yeah, I'm sure he had a good time with that, actually. And that little maneuver that the Harrier did at the end, I don't think McNish could touch that one.
Yeah. What'd you do today? I went to the office, put in a few hours. How about you? I raced a Harrier jet. All right, here we go. Green flag. We are back at it here, and it is now Romain Dumas has taken over for Lucas Luhr in the number 7 Porsche. And take a look. Second overall right now. It's not going to last long, but it's the 007 Aston Martin of Darren Turner with some of this pit sequencing. That was a bit dicey there for those two Audis trying to get underneath the GT2 car. They made it work. And now, watch for the change up here.
Of course, they'll both try to get through here at the same time. I'm sure that they will. Turner will have known that they're coming.
Yep, and there they go. So Capello is through, and the number 1 of Puro is through as well. And now they are back on the same lap. So there you go, and there's the number 20. We mentioned it because they had to come in, but nonetheless the pits were closed. Rules are rules. They are serving a stop and hold, and this is just going to be brutal.
That's catching a bad break. I mean, that's what we talked about at the beginning show, you know, the fuel strategy, and don't get yourself caught out on this track like that. It has happened.
Romain Dumas, I think, has been one of the, just a great, not surprise, but he has been ultra aggressive as well as extremely quick in these Porsches this year. So Lucas Luhr turning over to him in this new pairing of teammates is certainly going from strength to strength. And let's see what Romain can do under the onslaught now of the two Audis.
Well, there's not much he can do, unfortunately, because the Audis and the torque that turbo diesel makes is ideal for this racetrack with the hills.
Yeah, and take a look at what's unfolding in GT2, and it's an interesting development here because of what happened with pit stops and a little bit of shuffling of the order right now. The leader is the number 21 BMW in the hands of Bill Oberlin, who continues to be so impressive in anything he drives, and certainly in BMWs. He has got the lead right now. 61 Villander in the Ferrari is second in the class, and then the 31 Peterson White Lightning car in the 23 entry, now in the hands of Marcel Tiemann, are third and fourth. Obviously, they spent some time in the pits.
This BMW handles so good, in fact, that it is faster through the corners than most any car out there. But where, of course, like you said, where he really suffers is that big wide front end of the straightaway. He needs a drafting partner. He needs to get up behind the car every time he gets on this straightaway and stay behind him, get the advantage getting pulled up this long hill, and then pop out and do the pass in the corner.
And that's one of those deals when you get a car that drives by you, you want to just move over and try and get a little bit of a toe on him. Anything helps, doesn't it?
Anything would help. You look at the width of the front of that. Of course, Ferrari behind it, the newest of the GT2 cars, is about to try to pass the oldest of the GT2 cars.
Heading down into turn 3, and there it is, the AMD Ferrari of Villander coming on strong at this stage, obviously, and we'll see what happens. One would expect, because of how effective that Ferrari is and how slippery it is, that he might be able to get by fairly soon.
Talk about the aerodynamics on that BMW. I was checking in with the PTG BMW team. Obviously, Bill Oberlin doing a spectacular job driving it. But they were saying the other day that they were making up about 8 car lengths through the inside part of the racetrack from about turn 8 back through the front straightaway, Dorsey, and you can appreciate this. Pulling about 8 car lengths on the Porsches, the car handling so well on the inside, but when they came down the front straightaway and then down the long back straightaway into turn 5, it was 11 car lengths by the time they got back over there. So frontal area, it makes all the difference on these long, very fast straightaways.
Makes a long day for the driver when you're playing the game that way.
It's like hitting a wall running down those straights, obviously, so tough deal here. And some of the action that's unfolded a bit early, not all of it friendly to a lot of the competitors here. The crowd, they're enjoying a great race. Jean Richard is the official timekeeper of the American Le Mans Series. The exceptional quality of the Jean Richard watches and clocks telling us we're just about an hour and a half in, and you'll notice the number 7 is in pit lane, but not where you want to be. It's the penalty box.
Yeah. And that penalty was for passing the pace car before the start-finish line. We'll take a look at this restart, and you'll see right here. There's the pace car, the green and black top car up in the front. He's going to pull off to the right, and there's the acceleration, and clearly he did in fact pass well before pit in. And that is a stop and go penalty.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't even say that was close. That was just blatant because that car wasn't even in pit lane.
Now, it wasn't even close to pit lane.
Yeah. So Romain Dumas, and that enthusiasm and that speed and the aggression, maybe this time biting him just a little bit. He's back out, but now, of course, is well back of that battle. And, of course, the gentleman who started in that car is out, and he's with Cal.
Lucas, you had a chance to see the replay there on the restart. What are your thoughts?
I think either the pace car was too slow pulling in, or Romain was a little bit too quick accelerating. So usually it shouldn't happen, but things like this can always happen, and we got to stop and go. Now we go again.
How difficult has it been to adapt to the shuffling of the drivers this weekend? Certainly you're getting a routine with Sasha Massa throughout the season, driver changes, things like that, just setting up the race car. How's it been working out with Romain?
With Romain from setup side, we are basically the same. Just the seat, he's driving with an insert, so we need to put a little bit more effort into driver changes and practice this a little bit more. But on the last stop, it worked all right, so that's not a problem.
Okay, well, bad news for the girls who are watching at home. One of the most eligible bachelors in motorsports is now history. He got married recently, girls, so sorry to give you that news today.
That only leaves you, Cal.
I don't think I make the list anymore, mate.
Oh, you're out of the list now, huh?
Oh, Cal being an eligible bachelor.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Running down the front straight, obviously Dumas now just has got to put his foot in it and go at this stage and see what kind of ground they can make up. And they're working through turn 1, down into turn 3, and that long, long run.
You know, you concentrate so hard to get a good restart, particularly when you know the Audi is back there, and you really, really think about that, and you forget about things like the pace car there.
Here's our battle in GT1, by the way, Dose, and that's Ollie Gavin right now just in front of Darren Turner in the 007 Aston Martin. But one thing I'm noticing behind them is the number 3 Corvette, Johnny O'Connell behind the wheel. A lot of smoke coming from the left front of that car.
Yeah, I've been watching it too, actually. It's you take a look at the two here. One of these 2 Corvettes was for sure smoking. That one looks pretty clean, the 3.
Yeah, it was. Maybe it's just body rub or something as it in the right-hand turns, but
we'll get to it.
All right, now here is the pass. There's the 4 going by.
Not yet. They touched.
They sure did, didn't they?
There's where your smoke's going to come from.
Yeah.
A little bit of body damage, I would assume. Tire rub. And down into turn 1 they go, and there is that tire. It looks like left front tire rub, but it stopped, so maybe it's worn its clearance.
Just folded it over on the tire just a little bit. Meanwhile, Gavin, though, just driving away here. That is a sweet sound, the V12s, isn't it?
Yes, it is. These people in Canada Corner, the fans up on top of the hill there, they're listening to it. They're loving it. Great viewing spot right there to look up that straightaway and see these cars coming at you.
For the high downforce cars, the prototypes, it is into Canada where you see the highest speeds at this track, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, down into 5 too. It depends. I mean, it's real close to 2 of them. But you get a better view of the thing from that bleacher up there in Canada.
Remember that Aston Martin, the 009, that sits right behind this car that we're watching, is actually down a lap because of the problems earlier. And then the number 3 Corvette of Johnny O'Connell, actually 3rd in the GT1 class, but only a couple of seconds back of the teammate. There are all 4 of them. That 3rd car in frame is the one that's actually down a lap or so. There is O'Connell sitting 3rd in GT1 and still very close in the hunt. So the GT1 battle continues to be exceptionally close here at Road America, excuse me. Tuesday night on Speed, check out Superbike. Step into the world of high revving, tire shredding, wheel standing sport bikes. Hosts Rossi Morreale and Jason Britton take you inside and on the road like you've never been before. Superbikes, Tuesday night at 9 Eastern, 10 Pacific, only on Speed. And right now we ride on board for a moment there, the number 23 entry of Marcel Thiem, and now we're going to go take a look at what is proving to be another great battle on the track. It is the battle for 4th overall. It is currently held by the number 9 Highcroft Racing Lola of Andy Wallace behind the wheel, and right behind him is the number 6 DHL Global Mail Penske Porsche of Timo Bernhard now. Wallace wanted by, but realized that probably wasn't the best time to do it, but that could have held him up, obviously, just a little bit, and Bernhard might be able to make this a little closer once again at this time. And some great announcements coming about the future of this team, and Brian Till is standing by with the team owners.
Duncan Dayton getting a word from the crew right now. Duncan, you guys have to be excited. You ran so well at Portland, running so well here. Got to be excitement about the improvement, the growth of this team.
Absolutely. We've had a lot of challenges going forward, and we're a young team, but we're making a lot of progress, and the team's really starting to come together. So we're thrilled with not only the performance of the car, but the way the team's working together.
Well, and the other thing you have to be excited about is the announcement that was made about you guys being one of the Acura programs, one of the factory programs. You're going to be doing battle with Porsche. What does that mean to you as a team owner?
Well, obviously, it's the holy grail for us. I mean, we're ecstatic about that. The fact that we've got their support and engineering capabilities just brings a new dimension to what Highcroft can bring to bear at the racetrack.
Well, when we look forward to it, when are we going to see an Acura or hear one of those Acura power plants running in testing? And the other question is, who's going to be driving that thing? Because I think Calvin's thinking about getting back in the seat.
Cal, give me a call. Actually, we'll start, the program starts testing at the end of August, and we'll probably start testing in the end of September. And we're really looking forward to it.
And you haven't told me yet who's driving.
Mum's the word.
Mum's the word, guys. Hey, Calvin, Dorsey, both of you guys might still have a shot. Give Duncan a call.
Well, that team lost the benefit of one of the practice sessions when Andy Wallace was out there and went off the racetrack. Not his fault. A push rod in the brake master cylinder jammed, and unfortunately they sat out trying to fix that, and they've got it doing well now, and you see Andy pulling away from the Porsche.
And like I said, this team and Duncan Dayton, well known in the vintage racing circles, but at a very top level. And one of the things that helped them get that was the Acura folks went to the shop and they were stunned at the level of prep, finish, and professionalism that Duncan Dayton's Highcroft Racing team maintains.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we get the new cars and all that starts to sort out for next year.
And here is our third place car in P2. We were talking about the battle with Bernhard and Wallace, and of course you've also got the 7 car of Dumas, but this is the car that sits right now second in the category after the penalty to Romain Dumas. That is John Field, the team owner. His son Clint and Liz Halliday are the 2 that are currently leading that category in points. But John Field obviously doesn't run all the races, but when he does, Dorsey, one thing this guy is brutally fast.
Yeah, he can go real quick, no question about that. But this car is in that position of leading through consistency, through really good, solid runs, and running to the level of that car, which is not, arguably as fast as the others.
Interesting, just a quick look at the lap times, and obviously all affected by traffic in the line, but Bernhard in the number 6 Porsche just ran a 157 flat. Field's last lap, a 156.1. So he's running a little bit quicker right now. Again, traffic really does affect things, and we know that those Porsches can turn some pretty quick lap times, having run 151s in qualifying, but nonetheless, John Field really giving this a ride right now, and as a result finds himself second in P2 and up to 6th overall. Here are your 4 class leaders.
Welcome back to Road America. The lead number 4 machine. Olivier Beretta takes over the chores of driving that car. Ollie Gavin jumps out. They split the strategy under the last caution period, electing not to pit the 4 machine and bring the number 3 car in. So the 3 car is going to be squeaking it to try and get by the rest of the way without a splash of fuel. But these boys should be good. They lost a little bit of track position there. They have a 12-point lead in the championship. If they slip a little bit today, that could easily be hard.
Hour and 2 minutes remaining based on my calculations, which are spotty at best. I admit I should be looking at the John Richard clock. That'll tell me. But obviously that is a bit of a stretch, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's pushing the limit pretty good. This is a racetrack where you're on full throttle for a large percentage of the lap due to the long straightaways. That being said, it is not the best for getting great fuel mileage.
That right foot is planted an awful lot here, and sometimes from out of slower corners, so you're really launching, and it really does use up some fuel. Let's get back down to Cal.
Here with Ollie Gavin. Ollie, you brought the car in the lead. What are you thinking in terms of strategy?
I think that we were a little bit early there, premature in coming in. Unfortunately, I locked up a tyre pretty badly coming into 5, and we could have just been doing with going just for about 3 or 4 more laps. But we seem to have been rubbing a tyre after a little bit of contact with the Aston in turn 14. So I think that may have contributed to it. But it's going to be close. It's going to be really close.
Talk about the battle on the racetrack. We saw some great duking it out there in the early laps between the green machines and the yellow ones. How did they stack up? Who had the advantage where?
Well, the Astons are very, very fast on the straight. You know, that's our biggest problem, is that, you know, they just get out in front and they just haul away from us all the way down the straight, and we can never ever get a look in a brake zone. And then in the brake zone we close right up at them, and then in the mid corner we can really gain a lot back on them. But it's on the straight, so they just murder us.
Well, it's certainly a great battle. There's certainly going to be some strategy playing out. Listen to what Ollie said. I think they're going to be squeaking it too and not needing a splash of fuel, Greg.
Well, I can't say that they really murder him in the straightaway when after 40 laps all 4 cars are within 4 car lengths or 6 car lengths. They might have a little bit, but they look close. Now that smoke bothers me. New tires on this car, and it about 2 different corners on the course really lays over hard on the tire. And I think it's the left front.
Especially in the loaded, I mean, like the carousel in particular, where you're in that forever, and that's fast, that's really, as you call it, a big load corner. That's where we seem to be seeing a lot of that smoke.
Well, it did it really bad in 14 too, and that is not as high a load corner, but you're right. They're all right-hand corners, which really lean it over. There you see a little bit of smoke there, and that was a left-hand corner. I don't know what that might have been tire. That could have been a brake lock-up just right at the apex there.
Now down through turn 7.
It'll really get bad down here in the carousel because you really load up down there. This will be turn 8. It'll be a left-hander. Then when you turn into the carousel, there's not a lot of load initially because you're not slowing up much. But then it builds higher and higher as you go through. Let's watch.
There it goes.
Yep, starts to lean over on it.
And right in front of him is that battle for the lead in GT2. He's going to sneak underneath the Ferrari of Vilander.
Woo, Arbelin way on the edge there.
And Arbelin, I think that's that watching Beretta now come up in the Corvette, Arbelin really liking the idea of not letting him hold him up by making a pass into Canada.
Watch this, so Arbelin's car is wicked fast in the middle of these corners. This BMW will handle with anything here. So you can't just go drive up the inside of it because Arbelin can do this to you. Outrun you right through the corner.
Now watch this. This is where you move over, try and get a little bit of a tow, although that vet's going to just drive away. But right there, just anything you could get, right?
Yeah, he tucked in as quick as he could. You know, get that wind off the front of that big square-nosed BMW. But he is really fast in the corner. I drove one of these cars from Milner, and it is amazing how good they are.
Turning into 1, and interestingly, if this car can hang on here and pull off the win, that would be another manufacturer, and that I think speaks very highly of what's been going on in terms of that balance of performance that we've been talking about, getting a wide variety of different cars, chassis, engines, and the like to run this close. And Arbelin right now maybe looking at helping BMW notch that first one.
Well, Greg, even Tom Milner, who owns PTG, is saying that winning this thing might be a bit of a stretch. They've gotten to where they are based upon strategy. We've chronicled the straight line speed of that BMW versus those more slippery Ferraris and Porsches. He said we need a full course caution right now. If we can do that and we get strategy and luck, hey, maybe we will win this thing, but certainly a second place is well within our reach.
Well, I'm telling you, Brian, Bill Oberlin is using the road, the racetrack, access roads, gravel, dirt, everything to hang on to that lead. He is spectacular. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series Generac 500 from Road America is presented by Generac Power Systems, the leader in standby power systems for residential, commercial, and industrial applications. And brought to you in part by Mazda. There's a soul of a sports car in everything we make. We are back at the Generac 500 here at Road America, the 7th round of the American Le Mans Series Championship for 2006. And these great aerial shots here, watching what's unfolding, and it is Dindo Capello in the number 2 Audi R10 TDI diesel that continues to lead with Piro in tow, and they are just going by the new leader in GT2. Yes, indeed, Tony Villander in the number 61 AMD Porsche was able to make the pass, and as a result, Bill Oberlin, this is the time they're going to make their stop and turn over the car to Joey Hand. But let's show you how that pass unfolded before we get to that stop.
That was the run up the big straightaway. The better aerodynamics of the Ferrari obviously gave it more top end. Drafted on the BMW, and he tries real hard, Oberlin, with that cornering speed to get back before they get down here to turn 3, but it's not to be. He's a game fighter, though.
Boy, he does not give it up easy, but that time Villander just was able to make it stick. And now, obviously on the straight is where that Ferrari's going to show some legs at this stage. And Oberlin's out, Brian.
Greg, you won't find anybody driving harder than Bill Oberlin. He has brought this BMW M3 in. Joey Hand in the seat, strapped in. They're fueling, and once again in the American Le Mans Series, his crew's not able to work on the car until the fuel is in. Full fuel load is in, and now they'll take 4 fresh Yokohama tires. Not only is this car running well, the driver's running well, but you got to give your hat a tip to Yokohama. They've really provided a good tire for this BMW. Running well today. Joey Hand back underway.
That technical partnership between...
Oh, boys, nice job. You did it, but I'm telling you again, radio chop. Guys off now, boys.
And there you go. Kudos to the crew. There's, sometimes that is forgotten, the role that these crews play, and it is absolutely fantastic. But BMW and Yokohama, especially with PTG, have been hooked up for so long. They really do have a great connection in building tires for those BMWs and their unique characteristics. That's the 44 Portal Player Shortell and Pass Porsche from the Flying Lizards, and it has been struggling all day.
Well, the headlight's not supposed to be pointing at the brake rotor, so there's something a little bit of miss here that we have to look at. I see the headlight down there. There's damage, of course, to the headlight bucket and everything around it. They're going to just rip that out of the way.
Ooh, they got radiator damage too. Look at that.
That's the problem with these Porsches with that radiator up there. Now they got problems.
Discombobulated is what happened. Cal?
Well, as you said, Dorsey, where the positioning of the radiators is, and also their makeup. They have the aluminum core, and then it's like a plastic top and tail on those. So if the front valance there gets tweaked in any way, it's very easy to rupture those. And you can see, obviously, damage to this car. They also had it off in the morning warm-up. Barely made the start of the race. In fact, started the race from pit lane. So a lot of damage to this 44 machine throughout the course of today. But right now, they're going to keep fighting, try and get the guys back out there and score some valuable championship points.
First, I was going to ask you, the new 2007, in quotes, Porsche 911 GT3 RSR made its debut at Spa just a couple weeks ago. It's based on the new 997 platform. Is that something they're going to be able to address in maybe moving those radiators around just a little bit? And before we get to that, how about our leader in GT1 making the turn onto pit road as well?
This looks fairly routine. Nobody in a big panic on this particular pit stop.
Go down to Brian.
Darren Turner is out. Thomas Inga is climbing in. The 007 Aston Martin. Should be a routine stop. not only did they need to come in for fuel, guys, but they were running out of time to get Inga in the car because we just have about 50 minutes left, and each driver must run 45 minutes. So this was a crucial stop. They couldn't have stayed out much longer and gotten Inga the time that he needed. The fuel is in. Car up on jacks. The 4 new Pirellis are going on. Everything routine so far. Thomas Inga should have a very fast Aston Martin when he gets back out on track.
Inga actually had an off in the test session here on Friday, and there was a bit of damage to the car. They got it fixed. That crew doing just an exceptional job, and came back car fast as ever, which is just how it seems to be. You see number 22 BMW also making a stop as well and making a change on board. Now it's a good look at Thomas Inga as he heads out of turn 1, hits the rumble strips, and now down into 2. And he is driving with a brace still on that left arm from the incident that he had a bit earlier here. So we're checking in on what's going on at P2, and it's getting real interesting. There's John Field, the number 37, very, very exotics. Rehearsals.com Lola. Right behind him is the number 7 of Romain Dumas following that stop and running some close laps. And then the number 12 entry in front is one of the P1 cars. That is currently in the hands of Chris McMurray. And interestingly, look at the little bit of a margin that Field was able to open up and getting by. And listen to the radio here, and Dumas was not able to get by that P1 car, and that gave Field a little bit of room. Now he's coming up on one of the GT2 cars. I believe it is the car that is currently second now, and the 6 car is in the pit, so this is the battle for the lead, Cal.
It is, and it's Timo Bernard bringing the number 6 machine in. Of course, he has a new teammate as well. Again for Sasha Master, so it's fuel only there, no tires taken. Let's go back to Brian.
Clear out, reset fuel.
Tony Vielander has brought his Ferrari in. Marc Genet will be taking over there. And you can see some signs on the left side of this Ferrari of the intense battle. You call it the door banger class, Dorsey. Well, they have definitely been banging some doors and wheels out there on the racetrack right now. This driver change taking a little bit longer. The cockpit of this Ferrari a little more difficult to get in through the door and past the roll cage, but Marc Genet is in. He's hooked up. The crew saying, let's go, buddy. He fires it up, and this Ferrari is gone.
And we also understand, there he is. There is Capello. He has brought the leading Audi overall and in P1 down onto pit road as well, so they are in for their final stop.
And it looks like they're not going to be taking tires as well. This will be fuel only, so they're really going to stretch these Michelins. Both camps, both the number 2 machine and the number 1, back to back. Let's see if they try and short fuel them. They shouldn't need a full fuel load here to get to the finish with these diesel-powered engines. Capello's away first, so the 2 car blinks first, and now the 1, Emanuele Pirro. Can he chase down his teammate? It should be a great battle here, Greg.
Should be indeed about 47 minutes remaining at this stage, so it's going to be a great race. And as you said, don't need the full fuel load, so the stop's a little bit quicker. And Capello first out, but we have seen Pirro put in some blinders in terms of drives as well. It should be spectacular indeed. And let's not forget Butch Leitzinger, the number 16 entry, not that far back either. And here comes Field down pit lane from the lead in the class, but we're getting a report that he may have had an off as well.
Copy that.
Well, we take a look here. And yeah, he's had a big off, no doubt about that. Bounces through the gravel trap. Good job of not getting stuck there. I think that's turn 8. That's the exit of turn 8, it sure was.
Comes on right in front of the new leader in GT2, the number 31 car.
And with these short fuel stops, not needing a full load of fuel, it makes more sense not to take tires. Cal.
Okay, well, John Field has made his way back to pit lane. The fuel is going in, then they're going to wait for the service. They'll certainly be changing tires. They've really struggled to find a good compound with the Goodyear make that really suits this racetrack. They wanted to go a little bit softer, but it wasn't durable enough. They went harder, and I think these hot track conditions that we've had today in comparison with yesterday would certainly make the balance a little bit better. But these guys just keep working hard. 3 drivers in the car today, Clint, Liz Halliday, and John Field. So it looks like they're on for another podium finish. They keep putting the pressure on the Penske Porsches.
And by keeping John in the car, obviously they think that they're going to be able to push them just a little bit. And the way the cautions have fallen and then the speed that John has shown in the car, he has proven to be yet again a thorn, this time of a little different sort, in the side of those Penske Porsches at this stage. And he is out, he is underway. But with all of the shuffling that's going on, Butch Leitzinger in the number 16 Tetford Norcold, Dyson Lola finds himself in the lead right now, both in class and overall. Dumas leads in P2. On August 30th, pride, passion, and titles go on the line in a best 3 out of 5 showdown settled on the quarter mile. It's a duel between heart and horsepower. Lose the race, lose your ride. Don't miss Pink's Wednesday, August 30th, beginning at 9 Eastern, with an all-new episode at 9:30, 8:30 Pacific, only on Speed. We are back at Road America, well now under 45 minutes remaining, and here is your new leader after all of the pit stops. Butch Leitzinger, as we said, the Tetford Norcold Lola from the Dyson team is out front, and of course his teammate and the gentleman who started the car is James Weaver. And Calvin, you're with him. He's had an adventurous day.
He certainly has, James. It looked like a lot of fun. Alan McNish said you gave him a couple of love taps there during the couple of open stints. What's your thought on that?
Well, he's talking rubbish, dear boy. I don't know what he's talking about. No, coming into the pit lane, there was a certain amount of gamesmanship going on, and he gave me a brake test, which I duly failed. So, whether that was his fault or my fault, I don't know.
What about turn 1, opening lap?
Yeah, I could have blown straight past him, but he was doing a good job of getting in the way, and poor old Frank got hung out to dry on the outside, so it's a shame he went off.
Certainly this racetrack seems to suit the R10. Coming in here, you knew that would be the case, but do you find you're going to have to be really aggressive and take some chances to try and take advantage of the situation you're currently in?
Yeah, we've taken all the wing out of our car just so we can stay competitive on the straights. So through the carousel, we're not as quick as the Audi, but we've got enough drag off it that we can pretty much match. We're almost as quick on the straight, but you get a fantastic toe off the Audi. You know, it almost sucks the crash helmet clean off the top of your head.
All right, mate, great job today.
Thanks.
We understand within 5 laps, the 16 car will have to pit for fuel, Greg.
All right, we were speculating about that in the break, that they might yet need a splash. There it is, obviously. And James, always a lot of fun, turned the car over to Butch, who was just exquisite behind the wheel of these Dyson Lolas and doing a nice job. Meanwhile, coming up through the field, this is a battle for position, and number 1 Piro able to take it away from Wallace, and obviously Capello had already done so, and that was demoting Andy Wallace from 2nd overall in the class back to 4th at this stage. So now it is only Leitzinger in front of the 2 Audis of Capello and Piro, but nonetheless Andy Wallace, and that relatively old, he basically started as a P2 class car, has been doing an absolutely incredible job thus far as they're working away. Now, of course, it's the ALMS cars that are the world-class features of each weekend, but some other great racing unfolds every weekend as well. Welcome back to Road America, looking at Butch Leitzinger continuing to lead here in the Tetford Norcold Dyson Lola. And we have had some developments on pit lane. The current one we want to talk about is the leader in P2 is in. Calvin is there.
Romain Dumas brings the car in, and they have tires at the ready, but I'm not sure we're going to see a change. This will definitely cost them the lead here. So Dumas is probably telling them, I may need tires. We saw the number 6 machine start with Timo Bernard and is double stinning the tires there. So a lot of strategy coming in play. Yes, they're going to tires. This will definitely cost them positioning class, but who knows? If we see a yellow at the end, he may then have the stronger car. So Romain Dumas right now, and particularly Lucas Luhr, remember he's tied with Sasha Masson at this point. They need a bit of a break with a caution, I believe.
Yeah, well, while Calvin was talking, you heard a roar go by, and that was the number 6 Porsche, the team car. Timo Bernard has gone by, picked up the lead in class. Here is a look at him at this spot, and Calvin said it. The number 16 needed to make a stop, and he is on the way. Butch Leitzinger is down pit lane to do that very thing. We would anticipate, Calvin, perhaps just a splash.
That's what we would think. I mean, it's going to be a heavy load on these tires, but right now I see no tires over the road. They're certainly allowed to inspect these tires whilst the fuel is going in, but cannot service the car. So the Michelin tire engineer goes over,
I think he's giving him the thumbs up, so it'll be fuel only for Butch Leitzinger. He's going to get the hammer down and try and get this car on the podium.
There's not enough time left in this race to be worrying about putting tires on. And the 2 car and the 1 car, the Audi freight train, are back in the lead.
And as they go by, Leitzinger lights it up and drives out. So he obviously lost the lead, but is still fairly close. And we'll see just what he can come up with and summon in terms of speed as well as performance from those Michelins as he is back on track at this stage. And while we were in break, the number 9 of Andy Wallace, after getting passed by the 2 Audis, called into the pits and made a quick stop as well. So Wallace has completed a stop for the Highcroft team. And there is Dindo Capello, your new race leader.
Unfortunately for Andy Wallace, he did come in, make his final pit stop, but he's got a long brake pedal. His brake pedal going down quite a bit, so he's not going to be up to performance.
It's amazing how quiet this car is when you listen to these onboards. It is really a remarkable technology and just a whisper. And the 50, we've heard the reports that it has been running between 6 to 8 cylinders and having some management problems. And for Scott Maxwell, it looks like it has gone well bad at this stage as he has had a crawl down into Canada.
Uphill from here to pit lane. I don't think he's going to make it. Looks like he's going to get ready to pull off the track. He's limping along here. If he doesn't get back to the pit lane, it would probably bring out a caution.
Stay off the racing line, no matter what you do. Stay right to the edge of the track.
Well, maybe he's leaking oil or something. You hear the report there, stay off the racing line. So, I don't know.
Just don't see how he's going to be able to unless he's...
It's a long way back to the pits, and it's due uphill, as we say. Is it running?
It looks like it's lugging just a little bit as we're watching.
Maybe he broke a throttle cable.
It's under the bridge there.
It's under power, but it's either got no gear, or it's stuck in a gear, or it's got no throttle.
Yeah, no throttle, Dorsey. We talked earlier about them having those problems with the electronics. Well, that seems to have gotten worse. The car is running, but they're at a crawl. They will try to crawl it back to pit lane. Hopefully, Scott Maxwell can get it back to pit road.
Well, with no throttle, he's at idle. Whatever that idle's at, he's got it down in the first gear, and he's going to try to pull this hill up into pit lane, which is pretty darn steep, I'll tell you. Here he is. He's on the pit in.
You like having a long way. You like having the V8 if you got to lug up this hill at idle, don't you?
Yeah.
Assuming it's running at the V8, which it hasn't been with much consistency today. So we are closing in now on the final half hour of this one. The racing is close. It'll get better.
Jörg Bergmeister leads the GT2 class in American Le Mans Series action from Road America. His last stop for Michelin tires to take a fuel. He's back underway.
Obviously, they didn't need a whole lot of fuel, so they got that done much quicker than normal, got that tire change done, and that's exactly what they needed because they had a little bit of a margin, but not a ton.
No, and actually they took more fuel than I thought they were going to take, and that tire change, of course, cost them even time more than that.
On board now with Romain Dumas as he goes by that car, comes up on the 51 Canos. And speaking of these great onboard shots and the sounds that go with them that are so exciting, let's enjoy a little bit of some sounds of speed. We'll hop on board with that remarkable number 2 Artie TDI diesel.
Have to turn it up for this one.
Yeah. Now, from a quiet diesel V12 to a screaming V12 in an Aston Martin, we're on board with Thomas Enke.
I like this better.
Now we'll hop on board with Romain Dumas, the number 7 DHL Global Mail Porsche.
Full course yellow. Stay on map 2. Stay on map 2.
That's the reason for it. The 44 well and truly deep into the gravel.
Boy, I'd say well and truly deep in the gravel.
That's our third caution, Dorsey.
Yes, it is.
And a couple of teams that could have used that a couple of laps ago that made quick ducks and go. That's Seth Nyman.
That is what brings the normal caution here at Road America anymore, is these new gravel traps. Of course, it would have been a big wreck without of it. We'll take a look at how Seth got here. This is down into Canada Corner again, and just way too much speed. He bounds over the beginning of that. Now look, I mean, that tire gravel trap did its job. He stopped him short of those tires, and I guarantee you he was doing probably 75 to 80 when he went off that road there.
You know, augured him in. You can see how it just piles up, and of course just sucks all the speed momentum out of the car.
When they pull you out of the gravel, please shake it off in the grass.
Of course, he's talking about the rocks, shaking all those off in the grass, so you can only do that until the top of the hill, then you got to get back on the track.
Yeah, it kind of, eventually, there isn't any grass up there, and it gets right back to that bridge abutment, and you got to get on the track, but hopefully you're able to get rid of some of it anyway. So this is obviously going to be a bit of an extraction here out of turn 12. And we, as a result, as we sit now under our third full course caution here, are going to take a quick bit of a break. Here are your 4 class leaders. It's going to be fun when we come back. And we are back to the Generac 500 at Road America. Once again, it's the 7th round of the American Le Mans Series. We are under that full course caution. The number 44 Flying Lizard entry off down in Canada Corner, and a lot of teams interested watching what's going to unfold here. Maybe anticipating doing something, but we get word lights will be out this time by. Once again, the remarkable extraction crew here at Road America got that car out in a hurry, tucked him into a safe spot down at turn 12. And the lights are out on the pace car, and we anticipate going back to green. And at this stage, we have about 25 minutes remaining, just a tick less than that. And of course, all of those margins that had existed prior to this caution are gone. And except for maybe some lap traffic between a few of the cars, it will be close. Now, it looks to me like the pace car did, in fact, stay on track. So we're not going back to green this time. So hopefully it'll be next time by.
And with that, we're going to get a few pit stops, I believe.
Yep, there you go. The lights just went out, so we will go back to green next time by. And there you see Capello. There you see Piro. And only a couple of cars split back to the number 16 of Butch Leitzinger. So fairly close there. We'll see if Butch has anything. And the number 3, who needed a splash, and this yellow may have been the godsend for them, is Johnny O'Connell. Brings it in with some vigor.
Indeed, and with the yellow, we'll see what they do, if they're going to do just a splash or tires or what they're going to do. They got the yellow.
Cal?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the strategy works out here, because sometimes by the pits being closed, you can actually lose track position out there. So we'll have to wait and see where that Aston Martin 007 stacks up here. Right in front of Johnny O'Connell, he has 2 of the Flying Lizard cars. They desperately needed a splash of fuel. Also, I think it's going to help those guys out, because they were going to lose a few positions on track by pitting under green. But for the 3 car, this is going to be a toss-up here on whether this works for them or against them. We'll have to wait and see till Johnny O'Connell gets the car back out. They're going to put tires on, so we'll have a very strong car here in case he gets into a duel with the Aston Martin or his teammate to get to the checkered flag.
Dorsey, this is shades of last year. As you remember, we had the 3 car with the fresh tires last year. Beretta in the 4 had rooted tires, and it was one of the closest finishes in history. So we're going to see how this one all plays out. When we come back to Road America, we will be green, and it should be fascinating.
Nice job, guys. Nice job. Good job, man.
Welcome back to Road America, and the war has begun. And surprisingly, at the green, Piro snuck by Dindo. Capello read the green beautifully. We have a new race leader, Piro into the lead, Capello second, and Butch Leitzinger, Dorsey, almost made it free of press down the inside.
He tried to. He really set him up on that start, moved the inside. Now, I don't think there's that weaving around needs to be there's not a green or something. I don't know what happened with all that. That's strange.
Now here we go.
There's the green. I see
showing the green on the corner, so
there's a miscommunication there somewhere.
Well, Dorsey, at Salt Lake City, we saw a similar situation when they went back to green. The tire pickup gets so bad on those Audis, they really try and weave around, even when you're under green flag, to just try and scrub those tires and get ready for the first corners.
Good point, Calvin. That's exactly. Well, that was really strange to see a car on a restart going down the straightaway at that speed, weaving around like that. But that explains it, the pickup on the tires.
That's right. That's exactly what they did at Salt Lake when they were struggling near the end of the race with that gunk building up on the tires at this stage. Here's the shell move of the race, and it just happened. Watch the second car. Boy, did he time it beautifully, Dorsey.
You see how he backed off, got a run, carries it up the straightaway, start finish right in front, right there, and takes the lead down into turn one with his teammate in a championship battle. And look at Butch Leitzman thinking about maybe making it 3.
Well, you mentioned that you get
almost gotten back up.
You mentioned that I remember they've taken all of the downforce they said out of that NOLA, so
that hurts your brake.
You got caught up there, but boy, you said that these Audis do punch a big hole in here. Remember Weaver said he did an amazing toe off, so you can see him run up like that. What I'm kind of interested in is Puro and Biela have said since they came back to the championship that their goal is to help McNish and Capello win it because they were gone for a few races. That doesn't look like help.
It looked like it right there, did it? With no downforce on the Dyson cars, they will be very, very twitchy in those brake zones. Now, we saw that mistake made by James Reeve at the beginning, and Butch Leitzman are almost in the same exact mistake. And I do believe you're right that it has a lot to do with the fact that there's no downforce in the car.
We're here now looking on board from Dumas. He is second in the P2 battle to his teammate, Timo Bernhard, right up in front. The two DHL Global Mail Porsche Spiders from the Penske team running 1-2. Just in front of them is John Field in 37 Very, Very Exotics Intersport Lola, third in the class, but just about a lap down to these two, and he is driving for everything he's worth at this stage. He would like to see another yellow. I would suspect. Don't know that that will happen necessarily, but hoping to see something develop here. Meanwhile, we're on board with the 007, has just gone around the 4 car. New leader now as Enga. And we had a report he may have had a little bit of a half spin and has gone by. He had a bit of a spin on one of the base laps, gathered it up quickly, and took no time to get back around the 4 car. It's O'Connell.
Yeah, that's actually leading. Actually, the pass for second place is O'Connell's got the 3 car just a little up right in front of here.
And O'Connell, remember, brand new fresh tires on that car.
And I think that was the call of the race. I thought that was really smart on those guys under the yellow.
Watch it here.
Down in the brake zone into turn 5. Nice out-braking maneuver. No twitching of the car, no lockup. You see what it looks like when you're the driver's perspective. He's setting him up in the straightaway. Now, we heard that these cars are very fast. You see him coming in on the Corvette. Nicely done. It's right down the inside.
Richie's on the exit. Nice executed by Enga. So Beretta sits there in 4th. And again, Beretta obviously running a little bit older tire at this stage. We'll have to see what can unfold if he can stay with Enga now and do something to come back after him, or whether this will determine it. But it certainly looks like it's pretty good for O'Connell right now with his fresh tires.
Now, the Aston Martin certainly has straightaway speed. You could see it there, how much it got to run on the Corvette as it went down into that brake zone. Kind of a sitting duck if the guy's got 10 miles an hour on it.
And want to take a look at a couple of cars that we haven't seen as much of as we would like to at this stage, and we're going to find them on track and see what's unfolding there as we are coming up on the final 15 minutes of the 7th round of the championship. There's the 22, now in the hands of the very quick Brian Sellers. Obviously that car had a little bit of a problem earlier. We saw it in the gravel when Justin Marks had a moment and had it in the gravel down there in 12, so Brian right now has just got his head down, throwing everything he can at it to try and haul something up and salvage something here, and fewer better than Brian is giving it a great run right now.
You see Brian doing just like Bill Oberlin, using every bit of the racetrack, the curbing, the edge of the grass and everything, maximizing the corner speed of the car because that is its strong point. It's not particularly good in the straightaway, you know, with the big square end, but they're very good on the corner, and he's using the corners up.
He certainly used rotating it beautifully. Going into 3, you can see he turned in, back end stepped out, and then he just started to feed or throttle. I mean, he is driving it beautifully right now.
Now that That's what you need to do, again, right there, across the curbing, up onto the outside. You got to use what your car's good at. And what that car's good at is cornering. It really is a good handling car.
Watch Brian Sellers. Here's the 12, the Jean Roussard Cyclo Redline Oil P1 Loa, one of the cars that used to be part of the Dyson team a year ago, and it is sitting in pit lane right now. Chris McMurray still behind the wheel, but something is not quite right. Yeah.
Saw it had a new rear tire, left rear tire with a sticker going out.
There's the 62. And that car just has had problems early in the race, and Brian never really recovered.
Problems for the 12 car. It's the clutch, guys. Chris McMurray brought it in. They did the last pit stop, put tires on it. When he tried to get going again, the engine fires. He can't get the clutch to engage, so when he tries to put it in gear, it immediately stalls the car. The crew took the engine cover off, worked on it a little bit. They did not get it fixed, and you see the steering wheel has come out, and Chris McMurray will be getting out of the car.
It's a tough break. They worked so hard to get that program going, and then to have development like that, there he is stepping out. Their day's done, but they gave it, again, another very game fight.
One way of getting it out of the pits would be put it in first gear and crank it on the starter motor with everybody pushing. And that is the GT1 leader and the GT2 leader being right behind him in the Porsche. That's a good fight.
That is a great battle unfolding right now. Bergmeister still hanging on. And we just got a look as Johnny O'Connell whistled by this group, and the guy who started that car is with Cal.
Ron Fellows, it seems like you guys have finally caught a break here where the pace car picked up the overall lead, essentially gave you and Johnny a lap on the field.
How about that, huh, Calvin? We've had more bad luck than good luck, and this is cool. Obviously, the Corvettes have been very strong, but it's been a little thin for the 3 car, and Johnny's doing a great job and just needs to bring it home. And like you said, we got a bit of luck this time, and it's not over yet, but it's looking much better than it has in the past.
I know it's been a long haul, over 12 months since you've been to victory lane, but talk about the battle with the Aston Martins. Ollie Gavin said they just had a lot of straightaway speed, but overall for the lap, it looked like it was a really good battle there in the early going.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously great fun. Our car is obviously heavier and doesn't have as much power, but the Corvette handles extremely well, and we were well matched. And it's kind of like it was at Lime Rock, and so hopefully, I'm not sure what's going to happen at Mosport. It doesn't look very good, but we'll just keep plugging away.
Aston Martin in trouble, left front tire down. It happened up at the very top of the carousel, and the GT2 leader has been off the road as well. This happened right at the top where Ron was talking, going into the carousel entry.
Well,
trying to get back.
Yeah, it almost looked like when this car had its problem, it just caught out Bergmeister, the leader in that number 31 Peterson White Lightning MMPI car, and caused havoc there, and it really hurt Bergmeister as some of these other GT2 cars have gone by. So big development here late in the going. The car third in GT1, struggling right now, just trying to bring it around.
It's a shame for Aston, no question. I mean, the 3 ended up getting a lap ahead of everybody because they split the pit strategy. Right. That was smart on Corvette.
All right, now let's go back and look at it from the onboard. Watch this going down into 3.
All right, gets down the corner, too much speed, off the road he goes through the gravel. Remember, those stones are sharp, a lot of them are. Now he's going to transition his way back over to the straightaway. I suspect he's cut a tire going through the gravel trap. We'll continue to watch. I'd say he bounded it through there pretty good. And there, of course, is the Corvette. That's the view I saw of the rear.
Right there is the 31 of Bergmeister.
And this is in the carousel entrance. This is what I saw in the carousel. Bergmeister out wide, got in the race stuff, and couldn't get the car to turn down and pushed off the outside.
That was just amazing. Let's check in with Brian.
007 on pit road. Thomas Inga behind the wheel. Crew working to get that left front off, and it is destroyed. Obviously, he had to run it a long way around this Road America circuit to get it back to pit lane. They'll change left side tires only. Nothing on the right side. Thomas Inga.
So Inga heading back out with a new tire, but obviously a huge blow in terms of the battle that he was having in front of Olivier Beretta, so a big development there. He is back and underway, and the question is what happened to Bergmeister? Was he affected by something that unfolded with the Aston Martin, or was that just an off by himself as well? It certainly is going to affect the standings, but for the number 3 of Johnny O'Connell, he can continues right now to lead in GT1. They have that big margin in hand, and things maybe got just a bit easier. Not having to worry, even though it was well back, that 007 Aston Martin of Thomas Enga. And we're going to step away. It'll be our final break for green flag racing action. When we come back, we'll take you right to the checkers. So don't go anywhere. We are back in Road America, the 7th round of the American Le Mans Series Championship, the Generac 500, and we have two absolutely stellar battles unfolding. You're looking at two of the top three cars, and as they are coming up the laps of traffic, right there is the third one of Butch Leitzinger. That is your battle for the lead, the top three cars overall. And in the right box, this is the GT2 battle for the lead. After Bergmeister's off, Joey Hand and that number 21 Yokohama BMW is in the lead. You can see Bergmeister has not only recovered, he is all over the back of Joey Hand. And on the long straights, this car, the Porsche, drives on by. This time, Dorsey, he couldn't fend him off long enough.
No, he couldn't. It's just too much straightaway speed differential. But watch the braking zone. Joey's going to go in there as hard and deep as he can. Oh, and he moves over. Here comes the leaders going by. Watch out for Butch is in here somewhere, and in trouble. A miscue on the second of the Audis. Whoa, that was close.
And Joey would have maybe taken advantage, but as you said, Butch was alongside. There he is.
Yeah, I knew he was in there somewhere. He wasn't that far back.
Butch loathes to get hung up behind these two guys battling because he wants to still have a run at Pirro and Capello.
Now this is the end of the course the BMW excels on. It's better down here than the Porsche with its handling. It should be able to make some ground getting down here into this carousel corner, long corner. See if you can catch Bergmeister here.
Well, the reason this battle is going on, guys, is because Jörg Bergmeister was off the track right there in the carousel just a couple of laps ago. He radioed into his crew and said he hit some debris or something in the carousel, and the car just skidded straight off to the outside, so a scary moment. And to fight his way back to the front, a great battle in GT2.
And we saw him go off, Brian. He was a little bit outside of the normal line. I think he got in the gray marbly stuff, and off he went. Hand trying awful hard here.
Joey Hand in that right box in this battle for the GT2 lead. You can see him just skating on the brakes. He is doing everything he possibly can. And in that left box, we continue to keep an eye on this battle for the overall lead, as we are just about exactly now 5 minutes to go in this one, and it couldn't be closer. But for the Peterson team, unlike last year when it was the Alex Joe Porsche that was coming in a freight train behind him, they are trying to fend off Joey Hand and the BMW in that left box. These two Audis are going at it.
But Dindo Capello, the second of the Audis, is much better in the brake zone. See him close up now. Now, as a result of being faster into the corner, he loses a little ground to the lead car as it gets to the throttle quicker. Now, going down the long straightaway, if the brakes are going to be a factor, watch down here. Dindo will have a run in turn 5.
Up on board.
Too far back to get much done, but watch the closing. Needs to tighten it up, Greg, just a little bit more than where he is right now before he can launch that attack.
I just spoke to Alan McNish, who's Dindo Capello's teammate. I said, did Dindo just have a bad restart? He said, no, the rules say you cannot accelerate as the leader until you see the green. And he was just really a sit and duck there coming down this front straightaway. Certainly his teammate Pirro got around him and had a lot of pressure from Butch Leitzinger as well. Right now, Alan McNish is over the pit wall just chomping at the bit. He's like doing his own running commentary, watching the in-car camera that they have here in the Audi cam, just looking at Capello, seeing where he can make his move, and he's saying, just stick it down the inside, go for it. And the boys on the cam said, you want to get back in, Alan, and have another go yourself? And he just laughed.
Watch down here in Canada. He's close this time. And he makes up a lot of ground in these brake zones.
Well, the thing is, you've got to believe that if he gets close enough and can drive it down the inside, Pirro is not going to turn in on him, considering he's the point leader.
Pirro set that whole thing up on that restart. I mean, he backed away at the bottom of that hill so he could get that run going. And knowing that that he couldn't accelerate to the acceleration point, he didn't have more mile per hour.
And watch the climb up the hill. See what Pirro could muster here. Not really that close in terms of being able to do a tow. Now, keep in mind, should things get interesting with these two, and should they make a little mistake in a bobble, Butch Leitzinger is only less than 2 seconds back. Right there as Butch turns in. So that's the margin from those two lead Audis back to third in class. And then he's got, obviously, Guy Smith, his teammate, down a bit, following him through. And we anticipate the white flag next time for these two Audis as they come by. and they now are starting to open it up just a little bit. Traffic, though, is something that can always play a huge role here.
Traffic slows up the lead car at all, and it's going to be all over. And they're right between the two Corvettes right now. They've cleared the one, but not the second. Now, he moves offline. That was nice. Give these guys some racing.
But it definitely did help Pirro up just a little bit going into and out of 5, didn't it?
Yeah, this is turn 7 coming up, and turn 8's a good braking zone. Let's see if he's got anything going. Right down the bottom of the show. He's thinking, he's looking off. Not yet.
Got out of 8 nicely.
Now it's the dancing act. It's the balancing act through the carousel. Watch all the corrections because the car's not dancing around on you.
Oh, he's close. Very close. He's got the kink. Gets through the kink well here. And can keep that trap going. And a lap car. You're right. Here we go. See what happens. The car just moves over. Nicely done there. Now, the question is he close enough to try anything? He closes up. No.
We understand, Greg, there are no team orders down here. They just told the boys don't take each other out, but go for the win. So it's going to be exciting here all the way to the stripe.
Yeah, McNish had mentioned that in a press conference a little bit earlier, but you know that they're also thinking, we're the championship leaders. What's going to happen here? And there you see, Bush still close enough.
Key corner right there, coming off that corner. You had to do that one right. Run straightaway one more time around, 4 miles.
White flag is out. This is it. Last lap. Capello chasing Pirro. There's Leitzinger, 3rd in class, 3rd overall. Needs some help.
Which can only hope that these two up front make a mistake. You know they're trying really hard right now.
Out of 3.
Pirro, better job out of 3. Unfortunately, that should drag him down into turn 5 safely. I don't think Dindo will have enough room to run. Not yet.
Now up into 6.
Again, all you can do is hope to get through this 7. It's an off-camera corner. You got to get through here hot. Good passing zone right down here.
You're wondering about what was going on in GT2, just to tell you, the margin now a little over 2 seconds as once Bergmeister got around hand, he was able to open it up, just a little bit of breathing room. That's why we're staying with this battle. It is compelling.
Pirro's car a little better through that end on the high-end high-speed car. He's got 2 more possibilities.
Oh boy, but did Capello get through there nicely? He is very close this time. Let's see what happens. He's got to be awful brave to come from that far back. Couldn't do it.
No way could he do it. He wasn't close enough, and there's only one more place that he could possibly get it. And it's not this corner, it's the next one coming up pit straight. And your key to success is going to be come off that corner. He's looking to the inside. That's going to kill his speed. He's done.
Yep, that was it. He had to take this try, and look at Leitzinger, who made up a lot of ground.
Yeah, that slowed him up a great deal making that move.
Here we go. Pirro gets the win. Followed by Capello and Leitzinger. 0.7 of a second covering the top 3.
Unbelievable, guys. Thank you all.
And rolling out of that final turn up the hill comes Johnny O'Connell, who is going to bring that number 3 CompuWare vet home for a long overdue and long waited win for this team.
Of course, Johnny O will have been told he has a full lap lead. Don't even stress the car, just take care of it. Oh, the Porsches almost hit at the start-finish line.
And at the line, Bernard is shown with the win. The margin there, 15 100ths of a second between those 2 Porsches. So they too were going after it. And here comes number 31, Jörg Bergmeister, out of that last turn, rolling it up the hill. And they certainly, you anticipate success, but what a great run. Best finish of the season for the BMW in the hands of Arberlin and Joey Hand. We'll be back. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series Generac 500 from Road America is presented by Generac Power Systems, the leader in standby power systems for residential, commercial, and industrial applications, and brought to you in part by Lexus and their passionate pursuit of perfection. By Shell, made to move, and by Michelin, a better way forward. Hey everybody, there is Emanuele Pirro, and he is celebrating. He is enjoying this moment to the fullest. The second win of the season for he and Frankie Villa. They did win at Miller Motorsports Park in Utah for their first win, and of course they got the big one, Le Mans. So it's so far pretty good, but I think they really enjoyed this one. Just a remarkable run for these guys. Especially when you consider that they went off track at the first turn. There are the results in the P1 category with Capello McNish second, Weaver Leitzinger. What a great run for Butch Leitzinger third, and then the rest of the pack. Let's get on to Cal.
Well, Emanuele Pirro celebrates. We've got to get to you, mate. What a tremendous day. They recovered well. Frank had his early problems. And now Pirro and Villa take it to victory lane here at Road America for the second year in a row. Talk about that restart.
I cannot believe, this is another lesson for life. Never give up. That's one of the last things that you learn maybe in your career. I think this was one of the best races of my life. I gave everything. I'm so pleased for the mechanics with some gearbox issues and didn't look very good at the beginning. Please let me say this time I was so happy. One of the best races of my life. Thank you.
Congratulations, mate. Well done.
I'll tell you what, nobody enjoys it quite like he does. Here are the results in P2, and Maassen and Bernard get the win. Let's get right down to Brian Till.
Timo Bernhard just climbed out of his Porsche Spyder. Spectacular drive, an awesome finish. Can't believe it was that close, and more importantly, for your teammate, he moves up in the championship. How was it out there?
I mean, it was a pretty interesting race with Sasha at the beginning. He was stuck behind some other cars, so it was hard for him to overtake. That's why we pitted in the first yellow. And then when the second yellow came, I got in the car and I was again caught behind the other car, so we pitted again early. And then I could do some clear laps. It was not so bad. And then I had a good gap between me and Romain. And then suddenly when I saw the yellow, I thought, no way, so he will be behind. And I know, because we teamed for 2 years now, and I know that he is going to push, but we were also looking for the championship, so I think this time we were not going so hard, and but I'm still glad that we could win, and for me victory is very good.
Congratulations on your third victory.
Thank you.
Great job. Here's the results in GT1, the unofficial results. Fellows and O'Connell, their first win in a year, and just an absolutely phenomenal job. Let's get down to Cal.
Johnny, how does it feel, mate? It's been a long time coming.
No, man, I tell you, the last place I would have thought we got the monkey off our back would be here. We've come close so many times, and just awesome to get the number 3 car back. It's funny, I was talking to my pastor earlier this week, and I got to talk to him more often, I guess. But, man, very cool for me and Ron. It's been a long time. And everybody on the number 3 crew, man, never say die, and awesome day today.
Let's see you film more before the end of the year, mate.
I'm counting on it, man. I'm counting on it.
That crew did a great job indeed with that last stop, GT2, the unofficial results. And boy, was this one exciting. Bergmeister, Peterson, and Long getting the win. And even after Jorg had a bit of an off late in the going, he was able to come back after it. Brian?
Jorg, this is where your championship run started last year. You do it again, another victory. Going to see another championship?
I hope so. I mean, as lucky as we were today, I think our bad luck is gone. It was unbelievable to finish the car with a broken radiator. So I'm just excited that we finished. So I'm really happy right now.
Congratulations. He says, lucky guys, there is fluid coming out of this radiator right here. He wouldn't have made it another lap, Greg.
Oh boy, when luck falls, it falls right, and that was a good one. Our next race is going to be coming up Sunday, September 3rd, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The Mobil 1 presents the Grand Prix of Mosport, another unbelievably exciting road course. Don't miss that one. It should be absolutely phenomenal. And as Brian was alluding to, it was this race where Bergmeister and that team put together this win and 3 more to claim the championship.
Mosport, not that much of a different racetrack than here, Road America. This was a fantastic sports car race. I can't wait to see the next one.
It is going to be awesome, and it comes up at an awesome track, again, at Mosport, so don't miss it. Once again, thanks so much for joining us. An absolutely incredible day of racing here. Congratulations to our winners. The number 1 Audi, a phenomenal job. The number 6 Porsche, certainly the Corvette of O'Connell and Fells, and for Bergmeister and Long, maybe it'll happen again for them. They had to fight for it big time. We appreciate everybody joining us. For Dorsey, for Calvin and Brian, I'm Greg Kramer. We look forward to seeing you in Mosport. Until then, take care, everybody.